Right, we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. And as always, thank you very much for tuning in to another live stream. Let me know in the chat if you can hear us and you can see us okay. And before we jump into it, and to make sure that people can hear my guests, unlike the last live stream that I did, Mr. Luke Hector. Good afternoon, Luke.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Yeah, so let me know if you can hear Luke okay. And also Mike, all the way from sunny London with his super fast 120 terabyte broadband that he's just been bragging about. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, thanks, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. In the middle of an ISS Vanguard playtest this afternoon. But yeah, no, this is going to be good. All three of us are going to Essen. Are we all ready?
Ish.
Logistically, yes.
Because it was only yesterday when we realised that if we don't book a day 2 PCR test and get a reference number, they won't let us back in the country. So it's a good job we sorted that out, because otherwise we would have been stuck in France and they would have gone, where's your passenger locator form? And we'd have been going, and then it said, and then we'd have filled in the passenger locator form and it had said, what's your day 2 PCR test booking reference? And we'd have gone, and me and you, Luke, we'd have been stuck in France.
Well, I'd known about it for a little while, but I was trying to see if there was a way to avoid it and like do an easier test. It's like, nope, you need to do it in advance. You need to get this. I mean, the amount of hoops we've had to jump through just to go to Essen this year. It's almost like a patience test. It's like, are you sure you want to go to Essen? Yes. And then it throws in a pop-up ad. Are you sure? It's like,
yeah, this is definitely the Essen that separates the people who are serious about going from the people that are more casual attendees.
Oh. Yeah, now we've all been to Essen before. I first went to Essen, I can never remember whether it was 99 or 2000. But I've been to Essen for 20 odd years. How many times have you been, Luke?
This will now be, I think, the 5th
year? 4 or 5?
It's 4 or 5, yeah, by now.
Yeah. And you've been to, since you first went, have you been to everyone?
Yes, with the exception of last year, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And Mike, you've definitely been before.
Yeah, this will be my 4th.
Fourth one.
Same sort of story as Luke. I've been every year except for, I was at Digital Essen. Does that count?
Yeah, no, that doesn't count. Physical lessons. Yeah, because I, as I say, I first went in either 99 or 2000. And I got seriously into the kind of games that we now play and we all cover on our channels. I got seriously into them in about 98 and 99. That was the time I was really getting deep into it. And then we heard about this thing called Essen, and I went over and I came back and I said to myself, I am going to Essen every single year until I die. That was the vow that I made myself, because it was such an epic, amazing experience. Now, it's changed. It's changed now from when it was then. It is very different, but it is still great. So, yeah, we are all ready to go. So just a quick little introduction about each of you, just before we start, for those regular audience people who don't know who you are. Luke, do you want to go first?
No problem at all. A lot of you know me. I run the Broken Meeple YouTube channel. It's like every other channel. It's reviews and top 10 lists with a focus on the latter. But the main thing with me, if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. It's like, I'm not sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
But looking forward to getting to Essen certainly this year. The channel's been going pretty well now. I'm in the middle of my top 100, which is exhausting to say the least. We're almost there. I've literally just rendered up to 31 on my system at the moment, and I've still got another 30 odd games after that, but
wow,
it's worth it. But with more live streaming and more collaborations to support small creators and that, I think the next one I got to do is chairman of the board. I need to do something with him. So there's stuff on the horizon, and it's all good fun.
Yeah, and the YouTube channel is the Broken Meeple, so definitely go and check that out. And like me, Luke runs a Patreon campaign to help fund his channel and support his work. So if you like Luke's stuff, obviously go and support him on Patreon. Ready, Steady, Play. Tell us about Ready, Steady, Play, Mike.
Yeah, so we do primarily instructional videos and playthroughs. We do these final thoughts videos, which are like roundtable discussion reviews as well, usually after we've done a series. I mean, lately it's been a lot of live streaming. That was mostly due to the pandemic. And as we're coming out of the pandemic and we can resume live or filming together again, it's sort of about finding what kind of content we want to produce and everything like that. But also, yeah, lots of instructional videos and things like that. So, always trying to help people get games to the table.
Yeah.
And a review format forthcoming soon, I think, as well.
Yeah, because you don't normally do reviews as such. It's just playthroughs and tutorials and things like that.
We've always had the fun. Well, I say we've always had in our sort of typical series, which is like I'll do a rules and setup video. Then we do this episodic gameplay, and then at the end, the final thoughts. It's always been like a roundtable discussion, and what I'm looking at is kind of a more formal, not formal review necessarily, but succinct review I can do on my own, because I've got a big pile of games that people want me to cover, and it's just we can't cover everything in a long series.
No, exactly. And again, like me and Luke, Ready Steady Play has their own Patreon, so if you do check out some of their videos, consider supporting Mike and his channel. Right, so let's jump in. We are looking at today Board Game Geek. We are looking at Eric Martin's official Spiel 21 preview, which you can see we have up. It is there. This is the website that we're using, but there is a way that you can sort it. So if we sorted it by publisher, you will see that there's 465 titles, which might sound a lot, but if you are a regular at going to Essen, you will know that 465 new games coming out at Essen is not a lot. It's a lot less than normal. We are not going to go through all 465 today. Otherwise, Essen would have happened and we'd still be here talking about it. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be ordering this by simply the number of thumbs that each had. Now, that is not to say that these are, you might disagree with the order that these are in, but simply we had to order them some way, and we're going to be going with this. So, first on the list with 540 thumbs is Bitoku, which we're gonna click on it and we're gonna go in. Hopefully the stream has picked that up. Has it picked it up? Yeah, it has. So this is a designer that I personally have not heard of. Apologies if they've done other stuff, but the publisher is Devere Games. Now, I first became aware of Devere, I think a year or two ago, but they've done some cracking games. Last year's big one for me, I think, was Red Cathedral, which I saw loads of people talking about and was really good. So I've always got an interest in what they're doing, but I will be honest, I don't know very much about this one. So do either of you two know much about this one?
Not really. This one's a shocker that it is so high on the list, because Devere games aren't usually hyped up as much. I mean, people know who they are, but I don't know of many that have come out, because they tend to release a lot of games that have been released by the publishers as opposed to do their own.
Yeah.
And we've got one coming up later, which I feel is more their shtick.
Okay.
This seems like something a little bit outside of what they normally do, because it's a 2-hour game, pretty high weight, not that rating bears any resemblance, and there's nothing on Board Game Geek about it. It's just two images.
The thing. We've got an image, and the image is the box cover. We've got nothing else.
Yeah, the art's nice. I'll give it.
The art is nice. We have a playthrough in Spanish or whatever. I think, yeah.
Maybe it's the mechanics, because reading it does sound like the mechanics are pretty good. Hand management, engine building, the yokai cards that do abilities. You can get more with different abilities. Dice. Was it mentioned dice? Or I might be thinking of a different game, but a lot of the mechanics of it sound good. So I'm intrigued to try it.
Here we go. We have a rule book.
Surprised that this is such the hotness. I'm curious if there's something people know I don't.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it has 540 thumbs, which if you saw the second game on the list is way more than that. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, looking at that board there, which is split over 2 pages, just looking at that board screams to me that that's the kind of game that I want to play. Not for the artwork or the colour scheme, just look at all those spaces with icons. That gets me excited.
I can also see here that they've got some kind of worker placement mechanism using dice, and the dice are changing face as they move around the board.
Right.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I'm immediately intrigued, because I really like Teotihuacan, and I really like Marco Polo, and so I'm sort of like, dice worker placement. Tell me more.
Yeah. Okay. So me and Mike are interested. Luke, are you gonna have a look at this one?
Yeah, I definitely want to give a look. Although I like the fact that your reason for loving it, looking at the board, is the opposite of what I'd be thinking.
Exactly.
I don't need a board filled with a ton of squares and spaces. No, the idea of what these mechanics are sound good, and it does look very colourful and pretty.
It does. Now,
I think I said somewhere comfortably in a camp between Paul and Luke on this one, because I do look at that board and I'm like, that looks very busy, and I think I know what kind of game this is going to be, but also tentative. Like,
Yeah. Now, I did say that the designer's name is not a name that I'm familiar with, but the game also has a solo mode. I'm not going to give you any money if you can guess who did the solo mode.
The chat's already going mad about
someone
it.
in chat.
Yeah,
I think David has joined us in the chat.
that's why he's here, because he knew we were going to talk about this. So.
Yeah, so David is the designer of every single solo mode of every single game ever, apart from the Uwe Rosenberg game.
There he is now. He's even got his picture there a second ago.
There you go. Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah, it was it was a red dude in the rulebook.
Red dude in the... I thought it would be at the end.
I think Luke is making a joke at David's expense.
Oh, right, okay. So, yeah, solo mode designed by David Turksey. Now, somebody did mention in the chat, Matt mentioned in the chat, he was confused why this is so high on the list when there is so little media coverage about it. And I absolutely agree.
I was thinking that myself. However, Victory did mention in the chat that Rado has done a playthrough of this. So perhaps a lot of people have watched that playthrough and gone, ooh, this looks nice.
Right. But that is not on... That is not on Board Game Geek yet. But yeah, if Rado's covered it on the channel. But some of the later games that we're going to be covering have had quite a bit more media coverage than that one. So there we go. That's that one. Should we move on to the second one?
Mm-hmm.
Messina 1347. This has been on my most anticipated list.
Would that have something to do with just the name of the designer?
Yeah, since before it was announced. How can I have this on my list before it was even announced? That is because Vlada Suhi publishes a new game every year at Essen. Underwater Cities, then Praga Kaput Regni. So I assumed that the next Essen, he would have a new game, and I am instantly interested in it. So, yeah, it's on my list. Now, I wasn't one of the lucky ones that have had a chance to cover this game. I know Rado's covered it. I know Slicker Drips, Tom Heath has covered it. I don't know who else has covered it, but a few reviewers got early copies of it. And let's just have a look at them. So, yeah, I'm straight away interested without even looking at it, without knowing anything about it, and without even reading the rules. Now, that might be unfair because this isn't just a Vladimir Suhi game. It's a co-design with Raul Fernandez Apricchio.
I'm glad you got there first, Paul, because
we are not pronouncing this.
Okay, and like a lot of these co-designs, we don't know. This could be 90% Raul and 10% Vladimir, or it could be the other way around, or it could be 50-50. You know, all we've got to go on BGG is that I will speak to them when I'm there, and I'll say, look, who really designed this game?
It's going to be a combination thing as well, because it's Delicious Games that tends to be Suji, because didn't Delicious Games also do Praga Kaput?
Yeah. Delicious Games is Vladimir and his wife.
Oh, right.
They are the two. Yeah. Now, just before we carry on, just in case I'm showing any bias or favoritism, I know both Vlada and his wife well. I've known them both for years, and I've become friends with them over the time that I've done. Right, so I'm just getting that out there now. Putting that aside, I'm a massive fan of his games. Pulsar 2849 when he was with CGE, League of Six, all of his games pretty much I really like. And Underwater Cities I thought was exceptional. Praga from last year, or the year before, was good. Not as good for me as Underwater Cities. But that's why this one has instantly got my attention.
That's very interesting, Paul, because I really didn't like Underwater Cities, but I love Praga Kaput Regni.
Sacrilege! Actually, to be fair, me saying that I liked Underwater Cities was a bit of an exception to the rule, because it's dry as a bone, it's very mechanical. Exactly. But I do really like it. And Praga was okay, but again, very dry, except it didn't have the sort of theme to sort of bring back. It was like, oh, it's another Euro.
Praga, I know we're going off topic here, but Praga actually had more theme than Underwater Cities.
Which wasn't saying much.
Because there is a historical, maybe not mechanically, but there is a historical thing going on. You know, the whole using eggs to build the road and things like that. All of the stuff in the game did actually happen and is tied in. So in effect, for me, there is more theme in Praga Kaput Regni than Underwater Cities. But anyway, are either of you interested in this game?
Yes. Yeah. I sorry, Luke, go ahead.
No, you first.
Well, I was going to say I am now.
Okay.
Do you know it's funny you mentioned talking about co-designers there, because I think actually, like, in the best case scenario, and I would hope that with a professional design team, it often is the best case scenario. I think that actually having a co-design can work a lot better, because you've got sort of someone there to point out all the mistakes you're making and challenge you on things and talk through things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of it helps temper the game, I think, in a way. So I'm really interested in seeing how this has helped with the design process here.
Yeah. I mean, I've got Tom's playthrough playing now in the background. I hope Tom doesn't mind that I'm giving his video a play on the channel. But again, I look at that and I start to drool a little bit. Just
you worry me sometimes, Paul.
Oh, I tell you what. But look at it. He's putting things on places and getting.
I am looking at it, and I know I might get flack for this, but it's not a looker.
In terms of visually artwork, no.
I mean, visually it's pretty bland.
Yeah, but I don't mind that. It's clear.
Yeah.
And it looks like it fits the thing.
Yeah. Because the cover wouldn't sell it to me. In fact, the cover doesn't even make you think it's about the setting that it actually is. Because this is about getting away from the plague, starting a new life and helping people. And then on the front, it's kind of, every Euro game cover exists. Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, Luke, because I didn't know what this is about.
Yeah. I read up on it. And I mean, the mechanical and the theme stuff, I'm intrigued. So I do want to try this one, if only just because Underwater Cities I didn't expect to like either. And that turned out to be an exception to the rule. One thing that maybe completely skipped this one at first before I even realized who published it in that. I hate these titles where it's a place name and some date.
No, you don't.
It's like I don't know where Messina is, at first. Right. I'd need to look it up. I wouldn't know it there. And nobody calls these games Messina 1347,
They do?
No, I'll call it Messina.
Okay.
The date is arbitrary.
But the date is relevant because it's historical. That's what happened.
Should they put it in parentheses?
I don't know. There's a lot of games that tend to have a date at the end I haven't necessarily gone for. Pulsar 2849 being an exception again to that rule, but
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Pulsar 2849, I think, is a better sounding name for a game than Pulsar. It's like
I would have taken Pulsar.
Yeah. So for me, I am picking this up on Tuesday. This is the first game that I intend on picking up. I am going to get entry to the hall because I'm going in as an exhibitor. I am then ditching my mate Dan straight away. I am running to the Delicious Games booth and I am picking up a copy of this because I want to be playing this on Tuesday night. In effect, I am telling you now this is my number one most anticipated game from Essen. And that is because I know very little about what else is coming out at Essen. So right now, I know of probably 3 or 4 games that are coming out at Essen, and this is my number one out of the ones I know about. By the end of this live show, we might find another one which beats me. But yeah, I am picking this up on the Tuesday, and I intend on playing this on Tuesday night. That is my plan. Now, when are you two getting there? Wednesday?
I'll be arriving on Tuesday and I'll be at the Wednesday event, although no exhibitor pass, so I'll be stuck with everybody else. But
okay.
But you'll have to
we'll be arriving sometime on Tuesday.
Right.
You have to get some. You have to get us some spare passes or something.
I'll try. When we get to the game that is going to be the first game that you're going to pick up, let us know, because this at the moment is my first one.
All right. Well, we're about to get onto it.
Well, right. Okay. So let's just go back to the game itself because I've been raving about it. It is 45 to 120 minutes. Weight rating of 3.73. I mean, if you look at the box playtime of Underwater Cities, double it for your first game. So I'm taking that with a pinch of salt. Absolutely.
Yeah, no one's playing Underwater Cities in less than 2 hours. I mean, and that one has a similar time length on it. This one, I think, is going to be another long one. I love the fact that when you look at the taglines underneath it on the main page with the thumbs, now it's got grid movement, income, economic, medical.
Medical? Well, it's plague.
I know, but is medical a keyword people look up for finding games?
I want to play a medical game today, please. Right.
Therefore, I'll play Clinic and then hate it. But, it's still...
Let's move on to number 3 on the list. absolutely no surprise whatsoever, Lost Ruins of Arnak expansion. Lost Ruins of Arnak, one of the most popular games of last year. I've known the designers for a few years. I played a very early prototype of Lost Ruins of Arnak about 3 years before it came out with little bits of Lego. And as I've become friends with the two designers over the years. So when Arnak came out, for me to see how popular it was, made them very happy, but made me very happy as well for them, because they're a lovely couple and they've put a lot of work into it. First-time designers, and yeah, really, really happy. So no surprise that there was going to be an expansion, and no surprise that that expansion is high on the list. As I mentioned, Messina is the first game I'm going to go and pick up when I get there. I am really looking forward to Lost Ruins of Arnak Expedition, but because I do a lot of work with CG, I kind of already know stuff about this one. What do you think about it?
This is the first thing I'm picking up.
Right.
You've been raving about Messina, and this speaks for how I'm feeling about the Essen lineup in general. I'm not even sure if I can call it anticipated. I know I'm going to love this, but my most favorite thing I'm expecting is an expansion. That says a lot about what I think about the normal Essen lineup.
I see what you mean.
I already have the game underneath my chair, pretty much down there on the shelf. Love this game. Everything about this expansion is what I want added to the game without extra complexity. If I walk away from Essen without a copy of this, I'm going to be very sad.
Right. We will try and get you a copy. Now, Luke, if you remember back to when Lost Ruins of Arnak came out, before it came out, I did an online playthrough where I taught you how to play the game.
Yeah, two of us. Yeah.
And when I invite you on to do a playthrough of a game from one of my clients and from people that I'm friends with, I will be honest with you, it makes me a little nervous because you're very honest about your opinion. If you'd have gone away for that game thinking, I don't like this game, you would have made it known. However, you loved it. I was like, whew.
Gotta be honest, but no, I was expecting kind of to like it when I walked in, because it had the visual looks, it had the theme that I was interested in. The mechanically sounded like it wasn't going to be too complex and what mechanics it has I really like. And then we played it and we were just laughing our heads off trying different things in there, like me trying to pick up like World's Worst Explorer award by picking up every item from the deck that's got nothing to do with exploring. Like, I need my motor car, my pocket watch, a nice like teapot or whatever. I was just buying every useless item for exploration because it did other things.
So what is in this expansion then, Luke? Tell us about what's in this expansion, because you probably know more than me. If you do.
There's a few little bits and bobs, but the main things I'm looking for is just more cards, because
you're going to get more stuff.
Yeah, more items, artifacts. I just want, you don't need more complex mechanics. You just need more variety, more guardians, more assistants. Because to be fair, there's not a lot of assistants in the base game. But the main thing I'm after is some alternative research tracks, because you don't want to rinse and repeat the original ones. And best of all, 6 unique leaders with different abilities and starting decks. So it's essentially going down what like Star Realms tried to do with some of their, because you had the generic starter deck in there, and then Star Realms brought in the leaders with their basic starters, and Hero Realms did the same thing. So having that in Arnak, you've just basically upped the variety of this game tenfold without adding an extra like sideboard with an extra 3 pages worth of mechanics. So this is about as good as I can get.
Yeah. Okay. So this is number 1 on your list of games that if you don't come home with, there will be tears.
Yes, I'll be wanting this expansion to play at the fair if I can help it. Hopefully someone's got a spare copy of Arnak there. But
I was going to say, so I'm not taking my copy of Arnak with me. Otherwise, I would have done. I'd be definitely playing this.
Well, I've played Arnak twice on Board Game Arena.
Right.
With Jonathan, the Hexy Beast, who's here in chat. Yeah. And I had a thoroughly good time with it. I haven't actually picked up a copy yet. Because I've got so many games, but maybe I'll have to look into sorting something out at Essen this year with this expansion, because I still haven't played it physically, so I'm quite keen to check it out.
If you need me to do an introduction with CGE, then let me know. I can try and make that happen. But you've played it twice on Board Game Arena, and you've enjoyed your plays of it?
Yes, yeah. I think for me, it's kind of like it just hits this this sort of little sweet spot between crunchy enough to keep me interested in the actual game, enough sort of player interaction that I don't feel like I'm on my own, but not so overly complex that I need to constantly refresh the rules or reference the rule book or check out what things do.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually think that kind of makes it sort of perfect for me, and a little bit of a hard sell to a wider demographic, because I think a lot of gamers are going to be like, oh, I want a crunchier game for the evening game, or a lot of like lighter players are going to be like, oh, this is a bit too complicated. I don't really understand all these different mechanisms. But like for me, just as a sort of my sort of guilty pleasure, I guess, you know, without getting too sweaty, I just love it.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Sweaty? All right, okay.
Well, you know, when you're playing one of those really complex heroes and your gears are all clanking and you're like, oh God, what was that thing I was going to do? Oh, why don't I have that piece? What's going on?
It isn't that. It isn't a heavy game, but you're right. I mean, according to this doesn't have a weight rating, but let's just have a look at the base game. Weight rating of 2.86. Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
It's the perfect mid-weight level, and that's definitely, I like light, medium, and heavy in equal measure, but mid-weight, with the exception that mid-weight is easily my favorite. A lot of my favorite games, top 100 and all that lot, are mid-weight, because it's it's exactly pretty much as Mike just said. It's crunchy enough to get your brain going, but it's light enough that I can teach to more people.
Yes.
And it won't take me, like, you know, you won't play this for more than 2 hours. I feel like I won't forget all the rules within 10 days of not playing it. And it is just really elegant and smooth, and still has a little bit of interaction, because yes, okay, I'm not directly affecting your board, but even with just 2 workers, I still have to pay attention to what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things that a lot of people forget when playing the base game is that once you've been to an exploration site and you've spent your compasses and you've discovered that site is then there for the rest of the game. Anybody can then use that site, and those sites are better than the original ones, and you don't have to pay the compasses again. So the board is evolving as you play, and there's definitely a competition for some of the spaces.
I talked about that actually in a recent review I wrote on my Patreon for June Imperium, and I said that unlocking of additional worker spaces through these mechanisms gives the game a really nice sense of escalation that June didn't have. Right.
Cool. So Lost Ruins of Arnak, expedition leaders. And
Mark,
I just want to say this.
Can we ban him?
I just want to say this because I know a lot of publishers these days, they design a game and then they decide, oh, wait a minute, we could milk this. We will take out 20% and we'll publish that next year as an expansion, and then they publish the first bit. CGE don't do that. CGE have never done that, and I can guarantee you 100%, because I'm on the development team for the game, is that when Lost Ruins of Arnak came out, that was everything. However, the game was massively popular, so of course the designers went back and went, right, now what can we do? It wasn't that they then added in stuff that they'd already taken out, it was, what can we now do to add to the game? So, I like that. Right, moving on to the next one. Now, this is a game that I don't know much about, but I've seen a lot of people talking about this recently, and this is Golem, or Golem.
Yeah, that's a different one entirely.
Golem? No, this is Golem. I pronounce this Golem, and this is 2 designers who I know and 1 designer who I don't know. So we got Simone Luciani, Virginio Gigli. Now they've done games together. They're part of the Italian collective, I believe, that design games. This person here, not sure, don't know what they've done. Apologies if they've done like my favourite game.
Go on.
Okay. Well, it looks like they've done quite a lot. Lorenzo Il Magnifico, Coimbra, Leonardo da Vinci's great. Okay, so yeah, that's just me not knowing who they are. But yeah, Cranio Creations, I am definitely going to be going in and speaking to them about this one. What about you two?
Next.
Not interested at all.
A lot of people have suggested this to me when I've said, right, come on, send me some games that I need to like and that. And then I looked at this and I thought, okay, weird cover. It's Cranio. And Cranio have made a few games I'm not the biggest fan of. And then I looked at the designer team. I don't know Flaminio, how you pronounce that. That's new. But then I looked at the other 2 and it's like, oh, that's Lorenzo and Magnifico, isn't it?
Right.
It's like, it's like, I've not... And did Cranio do Barrage?
Yes.
Yep, hate that one at all.
Okay.
I get why some people like them though. That's the thing. It's not like I can't understand it. It's just this design team and this publisher make the most punishing games I've played in a mid-weight category. Like they are just designed to be restrictive and punch you in the face on a regular basis.
Okay.
And I don't like that in a lot of my Euros. I don't want like my whole game to be screwed because of one like little thing that happens. And as I look at this like boards, like some of the pictures that are on it, it's giving me too much of a Lorenzo vibe.
Right.
You know, columns and rows, not the best of looks, and I feel like I'm gonna be like, right, I want to do this round. Nope, you can't have fun having a bad turn. It's like,
right, okay.
Although the marbles look intriguing though.
Yeah. Mike, have you played any games?
I'm very much in the opposite camp to Luke on this one. I think actually because I'm a big fan of the Grand Austria Hotel, Lorenzo El Magnifico, and Barrage as well. I've played Barrage. I've got Barrage. I love Barrage. It is ruthless.
Yes.
And it rewards being ruthless. It also has a really weird conceit where you're trying to steal water off people.
I know.
Just like why not just steal the power once it's been generated?
No, it's too easy.
That's too easy. Got to steal the water before we generate. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is this one I and I'm going to blame the Essen prep we were talking about at the top of this show because this completely slipped under my radar. I had no idea this was here. And I'm just scanning the rule book now, and it looks exactly like what Luke was talking about.
Yep.
You know, it's got all of those hallmarks of the design team here, you know, tracks and lots of iconography. And I think he's actually very generous when he calls these middleweight Euro games.
I think they're more heavier.
Yeah, they're definitely...
I've never found them to be that heavy. They don't have that many rules in them. I mean, Lorenzo's not a particularly difficult game to understand. It's just more you play that game and think, right, these dice have been rolled. Am I going last? I don't get to do anything this round. Okay, it's like, usually, a Barrage was the case of, right, my first turn, I'm going to build a dam here. Next person's turn. Right, I'm going to build this right on top of it. You don't get any money from that dam anymore. Yeah. Excuse me?
I mean, I suppose it depends if we're thinking about weight as sort of rules overhead or cognitive load during play. And, you know...
Yeah, I mean...
I think you're right in the sense that they are... I mean, this one looks like it's got a lot of iconography compared to something like Barrage. But I'm definitely intrigued in checking it out. I'd certainly be happy to give it a whirl as well.
Yeah. So here's the game board. We've got a picture of the game board on screen. I really hope...
Yikes.
I really hope that the game board is actually the right way round in my copy because that's upside down.
That looks very busy.
Why they've uploaded an upside down image of the game board onto BGG, I'm not sure.
I can't understand anything on that board.
See, that isn't for me.
The person who's sitting on that side of the table.
That isn't very scary. There isn't actually that much iconography on that board. It doesn't appear. Not like the previous game that not like Bitoku. That seemed to have more. But
I mean, I've always said that I'll play any game once, pretty much. So this is definitely one that I will try because I suspect there's going to be some friends of mine who are big. Like they are big Luciani fans, so they will get it at some point, and I'm sure I'll play it with them to try it.
Because if I were you, Luke, based on what you've said, I wouldn't bother playing this. If you didn't like Lorenzo, if you didn't like Barrage, if you didn't like maybe Coimbra, if you didn't like all of those games that we've just listed from this design group, you are not going to like this one. And if I was you, I would have already dismissed this.
But there's exceptions because I mean I didn't necessarily like a lot of Vladimir's older stuff, but then I like Underwater and Prager's done alright, and even Stefan Feld don't normally play his games. I like Cocopelli, you know. So there are times when a gem makes it known, and sometimes the only way to find those gems is to actually try it. And there is one thing in this game that has caught my interest. Where's the picture of the marbles?
Yeah, marbles. We all like marbles.
Because the little spin-off of Lorenzo, the Masters of Renaissance, which actually I didn't mind that one. That was all right.
Lorenzo Magnifico, the card game that has a board in it. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the stupid name. But the marble system in this, from what the description is saying, there's not many pictures of it, but there is one picture of just the marbles.
That's prototype. Yeah, I had it up on screen earlier. I don't know where it's gone.
It's around there somewhere, but essentially it dictates... There it is. That... in there, from what the description is saying, reminds me a bit of Amerigo, which was the one other Feld that I
I really like Amerigo. Yeah,
I liked, because what those marbles are saying is that you shuffle them up, and then the actions that you can do, the number of marbles available determines how much the player gets from the action, and you take like the marble out and you move the student forward. So it gives me that Amerigo feel where you drop cubes in the tower, and you could do the actions based on the colors, but how powerful the action was how many cubes in. And as much as that is a fully mechanical system with no thematic thing whatsoever,
it works.
Still fun. Yeah. So I feel I'm going to like that aspect at least, and I hope that's like a big part.
Yeah, well, we will see. We will see. So, yeah, pretty high on my list. I do have a relationship with Cronio. I am going to be covering their new Simone Luciani game for next year, which is Avatar. Which I'm going to be getting a look at Essen Spiel. It's going on Kickstarter, I believe, January of next year. So yeah, I have a relationship with Cronio. I am definitely going to be going and seeing what I can do with this one. Luke, you're probably not going to get this one, but you've got friends who are going to get it. And Mike?
Yeah, I'll probably look into getting a copy of this.
Yeah. I may still get a copy of it just to try anyway, because I mean, my friends aren't going to Essen, so
right.
I get it. I play it with them. If it turns out that I'm not a fan and they love it, they'll probably take it off me. So either way, someone's happy.
Gotcha. Okay, next on the list, and I think, Luke, you mentioned this one earlier on when we were talking about Bitoku. Lunar Capital. This is another game from Devere Games. So this is Devere's second game on the list. And is this the one that you were mentioning is more like Devere Games is? Right, okay. So tell us about this one.
I know very little about how it works, because it doesn't seem to mention much about the mechanics of it, but I'm just thinking visually and weight level and stuff like that, this feels to me more like what Devere does. These smaller box like quaint little games and that. The Bitoku sounds like a bigger
Euro. Game. Yeah. What have we got? We have Quackalope have covered it. Other than that, we've got a How to Play from Ella, and we've got somebody else has done a tutorial on it as well. So there's a few bits of coverage out for this already. There are some videos on there. But yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm going to see Devere Games anyway, so I'll probably have a look at this one. But my initial thoughts on this one, bearing in mind my opinions on some of the other games that we've mentioned, is nothing in this is leaping out at me as a game that I want to play. It's not dry enough, it's not beige enough, and there isn't enough icons on the board.
That sounds exactly like my friend. It's like, is it beige and dry? You're like,
I mean, to be fair, this might be a great game. I don't know. I'm just giving you my personal opinion on when I look at a game visually, the opinion that I form about it, which sometimes is right and sometimes is wrong.
Well, I think, what your sort of tendency to look at a game visually is that you've got your prevalence towards these Euro mechanisms and the enjoyment of the puzzle. So you're just looking for things that you associate with the puzzle, really. That's
true. Yeah. That is true.
Someone could make a Euro that's right up your street, and if they made it colorful, you'd pass it by completely.
I would.
There's examples of that, I think.
Yes. Oh, they were very, very much so.
I mean, did you like feel awkward and uneasy when we did our top 10 thematic Euros or something? It's like, wait a minute, I got to talk about theme in these things. Oh my god!
So, Lunar Capital, Mike, did you know anything about this before?
I know nothing about this.
Okay. Are you going to look into it?
So players must optimally manage the elements of the game to build the best lunar settlement in the 70s. Tiles, looks like, is it tile lane? Players take turns drawing cards and the tiles that accompany them and must place them in their personal playing area. It looks like a lightish tile laying game.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of tile laying in personal areas generally. Exceptions are something like King Domino, where there's this really aggressive drafting where you can just hate. It's basically about hate drafting.
So not a fan of like Baron Park and stuff like that then? Is that what you mean by like tiles in personal areas?
Have we lost Mike?
Possibly.
Hello?
Oh, is he back?
Am I here?
Hey,
that's
hey,
your super fast broadband in London. That is.
Beat me to it.
You want to compare to Devon, mate?
I think this is Paul's connection here.
we got 2 bits of string and a bean can between us.
It's like, who's going to get the joke in first? It's like,
but I was just saying that I prefer sort of I prefer that sort of more player interaction-y kind of stuff. I think, if it comes to solo puzzle or sort of solo or multiplayer solitaire-esque puzzle solving, I prefer sort of tableau building or something with a bit more mechanisms. Not that I don't mind Barren Park. It's or that kind of thing. But I'm a big fan of Isle of Cats.
Right.
Where where that's also tile laying, but it's got all that competitive drafting.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I think I'd need this to have something like that to really gauge my interest, but also the theme where it's like sort of I don't know, sci-fi past. I don't know what that's called, like
retro sci-fi.
Retro sci-fi. Actually, that's what I was looking for. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is set in 1977, which is one of the best years ever because that's when Star Wars came out.
Both Luke and I are frozen on screen, by the way, on stream. Yeah,
that's what it's looking like. Yeah, people are saying we're modelling now.
It could have been a glitch at my end.
Is it?
Right.
Well, I think we are blaming you now. We were blaming Mike.
Let me go to Discord. I will just put the Discord screen active for a minute because I've had this before. My streaming software seems to lose the connection to Discord.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. We're back on.
Yeah. So, I mean, with this one, I would try it. I mean, 45 minutes sounds like a good length for, it's a nice length for a game. It's like, even if you don't like it, it's not a lot of time out of your thing. But, to be fair, one thing I have noticed with a lot of this ranking of these games as I went through like 25 odd, I get it that Board Game Geek is more of a geek site than a typical World War Gamer site, but
true.
Why is the hotness every time this massive heavy Euro? It's nice to see some light games come through now and again.
It is.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, Luke. It is. So far, this hotness has been very Essen Spiel.
It's like, they've got Paul's mentality for looking at it. It's like I want to see all the tracks, all the pieces, all the beige, and then suddenly they become the hotness. Although, interesting that something like Bitoku would obviously be the top one, but then even that's a heavy Euro for another game. I mean, nobody's talking about Lunar Capital, but they're all talking about Bitoku.
A perfect example of what we just talked about, because Bitoku looks like a very crunchy Euro. It doesn't look like a very crunchy Euro, but it's got those traits potentially. So
yeah, I just noticed Dan's just popped into the chat. So I'm glad Dan wasn't here earlier on when I talked about ditching him on the Tuesday and rushing for a copy of Messina 1347. I definitely didn't say that, Dan. Right, okay, let's move on. Let's get the website back up again. Go back to here. Next on the list. Right, I don't know anything about this one. Silver Coin, Age of Monster Hunters, English edition, self-published. Who knows anything about this one?
I know nothing about this. I was just looking at a picture of it, actually.
Okay.
And it definitely looks... very involved.
It's a demo only. I mean, this has Kickstarter all over it. I'm thinking so this is
not gone to Kickstarter. Then we don't think it's just a demo only.
We maybe can find out, but I'll have a quick look.
Okay.
Someone in the chat might know, but I mean, it's just the name, the type of game it is, and also a couple of things that scream out Kickstarter is how much is in it, because there seems to be quite a fair bit going on. Although I must say I'm not a fan of the way the board looks, but the first paragraph automatically is a bit of a turn-off, though. It's like, Silver Coin Age of Monster Hunters is a solo, cooperative, or competitive game. Rarely...
I read that, actually. I did look into this, and I read that, and that was a little worrying.
So why has that turned you off? Because the best game in the world, proven, scientific fact, Mage Knight, is a solo, cooperative, or competitive game. So if it works for Mage Knight, why doesn't it work for this?
Well, we're not going to get into that discussion again. But,
I guess my question, Paul, would be, was Mage Knight Vlada's first design?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just saying, you said it's just hard. It's just hard to do that, right? Especially without scenario-based play.
Yeah.
And, For a first-time designer, that's kind of like it's like a first-time mountaineer going, hey, look at Mount Everest, that looks fun.
Yeah, it's kind of, the problem is that it's something that people are doing on Kickstarter to try and sell it, like, because normally you've got a few tropes. Miniatures sells everything on Kickstarter, which is normal, but then having multiple modes is also another thing that they're doing. And if you were saying, oh, there's solo, cooperative, and competitive, especially when they come in as stretch goals rather than as actual, like with the game, you're never truly convinced that there's been enough development time. Yeah, because they might be like, oh, we got the cooperative game to work, but competitive is like, oh yeah, you'll probably never play that and that. Yeah. And I can't think of any game that has all the different types of modes where everybody is playing an equal measure of those modes. They'll usually pick a favorite.
Right. I see what you mean. And I certainly know of one game in the past, and I won't mention it by name, but it's one game in the past where it had 3 different modes of play and only one of them worked. And the other 2 were almost unplayable because they were completely broken. However, saying that, I know of other games which do have cooperative and competitive modes, and both modes work fine. Not just Mage Knight. There are other ones out there that do. So,
just on the topic of Mage Knight, every Mage Knight player I know has their preferred way to play it.
Yes.
Some people never play competitively.
Exactly.
Some people only play competitively. Some people only play it solo. Some people are like, this is best at 2.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I guess it's a testament to the quality of the game that people have such a diverse opinion, because it means all of the modes work. But even so, people don't use all of that. They find their preference. This is not yet been to Kickstarter.
It's not gone to Kickstarter.
No, it says coming soon to Kickstarter, but it doesn't have a date or anything like that.
So we're gonna skip past this one, because I did say before the show started that if a game is not available to buy at Essen, we're not going to spend too much time talking about it. But if you are going to Essen and you want to take a look at it, they're doing demos of it.
I think I will try to get a demo of this, just because fantasy adventure, monster fighting, got cubes and cards. That's stuff I quite enjoy. So
okay, right. And again, going back to what Matt said earlier on in the chat, we don't know how some of these games got high on the list, because to be honest, and I don't want to show any disrespect to Silvercoin Age of Monster Hunters, because it might be brilliant, but the next game on the list I would have expected to be higher than Silvercoin Age of Monster Hunters, and that is Alexander Pfister, Boone Lake.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no miniatures or monsters.
There's no miniatures. Yeah. No, you're right. If we're talking about buying games unseen, based on the name of the designer, Alexander Pfister is one of my favorite designers, and I pretty much get everything that he does if I can. There we go.
Ooh,
that's it. We know you're a Pfister fanboy. Yep.
In chat says, I don't think Boone Lake is available to buy at Essen due to production issues. Is this true?
Well, I sent Clay a message from Capstone Games last week, and he's not got back to me yet. So,
you brought tears to Paul's eyes.
Because I had this on my buy list. Yeah.
However, it's not like I'm not coming back with enough really great games, and if I have to wait a couple of months for this one, now, as I say, I'm a big fan of his games. I don't know that much about this one, apart from somebody said it maybe had elements of Mombasa, or it might even be a Mombasa retheme and update. So if anybody in the chat knows this, let me know. Alan's in the chat. He says the German version, which may have... it says German version.
Well, I'm not getting a Mombasa vibe. I mean, to be fair, I only played the game once, I think, and it was so long ago I can barely remember it. But I mean, didn't it have like shares and stuff? I'm not seeing it here, but...
Well, I had a quick gander at the rule book, and I sort of came away with a couple of mechanisms that I identified. One of which is that you're moving along a track, and it looks like you'll go through the process of this track at least twice in the game. And so it had sort of vibes of Great Western Trail or Maracaibo, exactly. And there is also a sort of a gate. There's a gate in the path. I think there's just one of... It looks like there's multiple gates, but there's one critical gate where a sort of a path will be chosen by the first player to go through it, and that also triggers intermediate scoring. Or maybe the path changes based on how many times you've been around it. Okay. But then there's also this action selection mechanism where you essentially have a menu of actions, and as you use them, they drop to the back of the menu, and then you have to pay money to repeat the same action like multiple times. And the action's also a list of things that trigger. So if you want to do specific things, you will have to trigger that list, and then you might get one or two things that you're not that keen on doing on the list.
All right.
But the other thing that I was a little bit like about was that you do have a ranch, and you're sort of exploring this world to get cattle and workers to go onto your ranch, and you do collect natives to put onto your ranch. And I was a bit
okay.
Well, I mean, they like those types of things. It's more of a looker than some of the other games. Looking at some of the components of that, it's got that trademark of Vista, which is a board where you put a ton of things on it and take them off to do things. It's got that Great Western Trail vibe.
Right. So in the chat, Johannes from Board Gaming Ramblings is saying Boone Lake won't be there, unfortunately. So yeah, it looks like it isn't going to be there, unfortunately, which is a shame. But there's a lot of production issues going on at the moment, not just in China. There's a lot of European publishers there's a lot of publishers who print stuff in Europe. Yeah. There's cardboard shortages and paper shortages and stuff like that.
Yeah, what we were saying earlier, I think usually they have about 1,000 new games at Essen. I think one year they boasted like 1,700.
Yeah,
and you're saying this list is 465.
465. Yeah.
It's a lot of that's still a lot of games. I mean, 1,700 and 1,000 was too much.
It was too much. But I'm just commenting on the drop. That's a clear.
Okay. So Boone Lake, thumbs up for me, but it doesn't look like it's available. Luke.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it to really say. Okay. The action selection mechanism that you've talked about is giving me some vibes of Civilization New Dawn, because that has that action row where the higher up the row it is, the more powerful the action is, but then it reverts to the back. And so if you rinse, repeat it, you can do it, but it's not as good. Your cost is slightly different to that, but it is saying, if you wait enough time, you will be able to do an action really well. But if you keep rinse, repeating it, it's going to cost you a bucket load of cash.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, I've got no interest in the theme. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, are you a fan of his other games, Luke?
The thing is that Alexander Pfister games don't normally seem well to me either. I mean, we won't get on the Great Western Trail or Mombasa, but when Pfister does lighter games, I like him more. So Isle of Skye and Broom Service, co-designed. Yeah. Even though he co-designed that one, Broom Service I really like, and Isle of Skye I really like. But then you get into I don't mind Maracaibo, although I don't know how much longer that will stay in my collection. But then you get onto his other heavier stuff, and I'm just like, bleh.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, this is one that I'll try it when I see it, but
I mean, I tend to like his games that fit in, that sort of mirror this. I enjoyed Maracaibo a lot. I enjoyed Great Western Trail a lot. I wasn't a big fan of Blackout Hong Kong, but that's also very dissimilar to this one from what I've read. So this kind of slots in with the ones that I do really like by Pfister.
Yeah. I mean, Mombasa was my favourite game of the year when it came out. Great Western Trail was my favourite game of the year when it came out. Maracaibo I've played 20 times in the last week and a half on the digital app. I'm a huge fan. And I like his lighter games as well. So I'm just a big fan of the designer.
Yeah.
So
you like him?
Yeah, I really like Oh My Goods.
My Goods was nice.
That's all right. In the
Expedition to Newdale for me was better.
No.
But Oh My Goods is small.
It is.
Oh My Goods is light and quick. Expedition to Newdale was the exact same game stretched out to 2.5 hours. It's like, no.
2.5 hours? You're playing it with the wrong people.
2 hours. It's not a quick game. But the thing is, Oh My Goods already does the same thing, but quicker. Why play a longer version of it?
Yeah. Good point. Right. Okay, let's go back to the list.
Yeah.
And next
there is a Maracaibo expansion. I know I'm jumping the gun here, Paul, but just in case we run out of time, we should probably mention that as well.
Yeah,
it is a lot further down the list, but yeah, there is an expansion.
It is, and I believe that there's going to be a Maracaibo promo card for Gaming Rules. Watch this space. Right, next on the list, 1923 Cotton Club. So all I know about this is this publisher, Looping Games, have done quite a few games that Luke doesn't like because they've got a number in, although to be fair, the number is before the name of the game, rather than afterwards. So maybe you're okay with that.
Though.
Okay.
I've got no knowledge of this one.
And I have played a couple of their other games, and they were really good. But I don't know anything about this one.
Fantasy Realms, is that indicative of their style?
No. Let's just have a look at Looping Games, and I'll show you what I mean. I think it's 1908 San Francisco I've played and was really good. And I think I've also played... Which was the other one that I've played? I'm sure I've played another one of them, but there's this series of games: 1906 San Francisco, 1911, 1920 Wall Street, 1942 USA, whatever, and
I think this is why I might have
following because they keep making them.
Yeah, they're popular in the sense for some, they're just not well heard of. I mean, Fantasy Realms is a decent enough little card game. I mean, looks was never their strong point, but I mean, it's a nice little card game. Yeah. Some of these others I've heard of, although funny that you mentioned about the date before the name or so, because I thought, I swear I've heard of the Wall Street one. I don't know anything about Cotton Club, but that Channel Tunnel one, I remember doing the reaction video to Board Game Ramblings one, and they were talking so much about Channel Tunnel, like, oh, we love this game, and I nearly burst out laughing on the video because I just thought, you are really struggling to sell me a game about making the Channel Tunnel fun. It's like
true. And this is 1923 Cotton Club. So don't know much about it, but I have played one of the other games in the series, and mechanically it was pretty good. And I think these games come in a fairly small box as well. So Hans is in the chat and saying 1987 Channel Tunnel is also a good one.
It's one of the more popular ones I've heard.
Right, yeah. And I think I had an email communication with them about 2 years ago, because I think I played a friend's copy of 1906 San Francisco, talked about it on the video log, and I think either they heard it, the video log or something, and they said they'd send me a copy of it because I didn't have a copy myself, and then I think I forgot to go back to them. So I'll be popping in to say hello to them, seeing what that one's about. Right, moving down. It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Now, that looks to me like It's a Wonderful Life.
It is. It's a standalone sequel.
Standalone sequel.
Yeah, because...
As in same mechanism, same game, just different stuff?
Some slight change in the mechanisms, but whereas the other one was like a kind of Seven Wonders-esque drafting game that could do a lot of players, this one is solely solo and 2-player.
1 to 2 players. So what's the connection then? Same publisher, same designer?
Yep.
Oh, It's a Wonderful World, not A Wonderful Life. That's a film, isn't it?
I don't know. The title made no sense in the other one anyway. It's like it's wonderful something. But
so have you both played It's a Wonderful World then?
Yes.
Good?
I've not.
Okay. Meh. So does that mean this one's not really an interest?
Well, it's a 2-player only one, which means I probably wouldn't get it to the table anyway. Okay. So it's and also, I mean, Wonderful World is okay, but again, it's like, here we are, here's another drafting game that's light, fine, but there's something called Seven Wonders. You can't measure up to that. It's so I didn't latch onto it as much. This one, I mean, 2-player only, modular by the sound of it, so looks like you kind of pick whichever ones you want to use. Could be interesting, but it being a 2-player only, it's unlikely I'm going to be giving this one much look.
So this is not on your radar?
So I was quite intrigued by this because I actually do really like these 2-player head-to-head games, and Chris and I have actually been covering them on our channel. We've been playing them on BGA, but I'd like to get some physical games in as well if we can. But this is one that I would sort of really like to try out with him, and I like that it talks a lot about sort of like doing sort of warfare and sort of bluffing and hedging your bets and things like that. So that's really intriguing to me. I don't know the mechanisms well enough to go into detail, unfortunately, but I would like to explore that further and see what this is all about.
Somebody in the chat did say it has a bluffing element as well, which kind of rules it out for me, because I'm not a big fan of bluffing. Bluffing is not one of my favourite mechanisms at all. So
whereas I love Android Netrunner, you know, like...
I mean, I love Netrunner, and I know there is bluffing in Netrunner, but in a board game, I'm not that big of a fan of that.
Well, this is basically a card game, I think.
Yeah, it's just a card game. I mean, bluffing elevates it slightly, but it's definitely looking like... I mean, it's got some of the pictures, you know, those cards look identical to the ones that are in It's a Wonderful World. You're just obviously doing something slightly different with them.
Yeah. Okay, well, right. What have we got next on the list?
It was on Kickstarter as well.
It was on Kickstarter, right.
People might have backed it there.
Next up, a game I've never heard of. Cordoba 27 AC.
I was surprised to see this on the list at all.
Why?
The designer I've never heard of.
Okay.
The publisher I don't think I've heard of. I mean, I can't even pronounce the publisher. It's give $5 to anybody who can, but
okay, yeah, I'm going to click on them and see what else they've done.
Ediciones Masque Orta.
So according to this, they've done 205 games. But when you look at the games they've done, Great Western Trail, Maracaibo, Race for the Galaxy, so it looks like, and we might be wrong here, but they're based in Spain and they specialise in the publishing and distribution of games, card games, and war games. So it looks
Spanish
like
localization. Yeah,
they are Spanish localization, but this presumably is one of their own. But I've not heard of them. I've not seen their logo before. And as you say, I've not heard of the designer before. So how did a game like this get this high on the list? We don't know, but we're going to talk about it briefly.
I don't know. I looked at the picture, Paul, and it looks like it's right up your street.
Ooh, yeah, I was going to say, no, look at the image. Look at the images and find the one on TTS.
They're all TTS.
Look at that. That is why it is the hotness. Big, giant, sprawling game with a ton of stuff going on. Instant hit for any Eurogamer.
Yeah, I'm just going to need to go for a quick cold shower.
Look at the beige. And look for the beige. Yeah, it's totally up your street. Lack of color, except for player pieces. And a historical theme.
So much beige.
I don't even understand the title either, because I've never heard of the place Corduba.
You need to do some research, because you've not heard of Messina 1347.
Yeah, I'm not a big history nut, so I don't know a lot of these things. But the thing is,
Cordoba is a city in Spain, isn't it?
I thought it was Italy, but I don't know. But it says here it's called 27 AC, right?
Well, air conditioning, yeah. No?
Well, the first line of the description is the year is 45 BC. So what's the 27 AC about?
After Caesar.
But there was a thing? All right.
Well, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing, yeah, but I mean, I thought it was just BC and after Christ. After death or whatever. But it's like I didn't realize. I didn't realize AC was a thing.
Maybe, I don't know. If anybody in the chat, so it's a Spanish city. Right. If anybody in the chat knows what 27 AC is, to enlighten us, because we're all a bit thick. But it's obviously some historical thing that went on.
I think it is actually a reference to Caesar, because the games in the description it talks all about Caesar.
Yeah, but apart from the pictures, which are mainly tabletop simulator plays, we have a designer that none of us have heard of, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because it might be a great game. We have no videos. We have no rule book. Oh no, we do have a rule book now. It is there. But we don't have much information about this, and yet it has managed to get 308 thumbs up on here. So,
almost like there's a crazy bias here for beige.
I mean, there could be other stuff going on. I don't know. But there are games later on this list that I would have expected to be higher. So none of us really know much about this, or none of us can really tell you much about it. Are any of us interested in going checking it out based on what we've seen here?
Is it for sale or is it a demo?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
It didn't specify.
Apparently, AC would be BC in Spanish. There you go.
Okay, fair enough.
Except, as you say, it says the year is 45 BC.
Yeah. Well, no, I think the game takes place in 27 BC, actually.
Right, okay.
Because
the description says the year is 45 BC.
Yeah, but then it goes on to give about 3 paragraphs of history, and then it says the year is now 27 BC.
Right, okay, there you go.
So we can't even understand the theme of the game already.
The theme of the game is very historical. It requires at least 3 paragraphs of preamble.
That description on BGG, I'm afraid, is too long. It needs to be 2 to 3 paragraphs at most. But I
got bored reading it. It's so much beige, and the vibe. One thing that this kind of reminded me of was the one thing I like Lisboa. It's on my shelf. I like it a lot mechanically. But the one thing about Lisboa I don't like, which is instantly repeated in this, is what we've just been joking about. I feel like I'm going to need a history lesson for 20 minutes before I can understand anything that goes on in this game.
Yeah.
There is, I would note here, just towards the end, it says there's no victory points in Cordoba. In order to win, you'll have to garner the favor of the city's inhabitants and of Rome itself, which means I guess that there's some kind of criteria for winning. So it's going to be like a Euro game, but a race game. Yeah. And that's always a bit intriguing to me, when there's, just a sort of a dead stop victory condition. Yeah. So I'd be intrigued, but it also says the release. It doesn't say for demo. It doesn't say for sale. It just says... It just says Q4 2021. So
we don't know.
I would assume it's a demo.
We don't know.
But I don't know. I would be interested in just finding out why it's so high.
I'm going to walk past the booth. Yeah. I might then stop and find... No, what I'm saying is I'm not going to completely dismiss this one because there's a couple of people in the chat are saying, this looks right up my street. This could be a really, really good game. And I might be dismissing it because I've not heard of it and not heard the designer. And it might actually be really good. Yeah, so I'm going to walk past, take a look and see what it's all about. Yeah.
That board looks up your street. I mean, I think that's what people are kind of saying. The last paragraph on it has me is a typical trope, though. Was it Cordoba is a game of medium to high difficulty with simple rules that anyone can understand, but will profoundly challenge players. Lie.
No, lie.
That is lie.
It's just, that's marketing speak. And I'm saying that as somebody who writes that kind of stuff sometimes. It's just, It's like the whole, I can work well on my own, but I also work well as part of a team. No, just stop saying these things. It's just... We're moving on. The next one on the list is a game which I have heard of. I'll be honest, I don't know that much about it because my mind has been focused on other things for the last 2 months. But I've heard a lot about this and I've seen a lot of people talking about it and covering it, and that is Cascadia. Have either of you two played this one?
Not played it, but I thought this was out.
I think it is out. I think it's been out. If we look at this, Meeple...
Maybe just America released it, because I swear they've been playing it quite a bit.
Well, No Pun Included have got it. Meeple University have got it. There's 83 videos on it.
Yeah, but they get sent everything about 5 years before it's made. So
I feel like Chris and I actually looked at I think this was a Kickstarter, and Chris and I actually covered it on one of our Kickstarter commentary live streams.
Ricky Royals covered it.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, after our sort of review of the Kickstarter page, we kind of thought that it looked like a sort of a very like multiplayer solitaire with like, you know, a little bit of puzzle drafting in it,
right?
But not enough to make it interesting or distinct enough.
Okay.
The playthroughs do suggest the playthroughs do suggest quite a bit of solitaire. As far as I'm aware, this is supposedly a heavier version of Calico.
Okay.
I think that's what it was meant to be essentially, because this didn't Flat Out Games also do? Yes, they did. They did Calico. It's on their thing, along with Verdant on their games list.
So this is Ricky Royal playing the solo game.
So it's kind of like, I mean, Calico's fine. It's all right. I mean, above average. You know, I wasn't blown away by it, even though I love kitties. But I don't see why I would want to necessarily play a heavier version of that game.
Right. So Chucky's saying that Cascadia was delivered a few weeks ago in the US, and it looks like it is available in the UK because, as you say, we've seen videos from a few. It's a lighter version of Calico.
Yeah, I'm seeing that in the chat. That surprises me.
Okay. Jill's saying Cascadia is great. James is saying it's great, multiplayer and solo. So yeah, it seems popular. But this is the other thing about the Essen list. We've already covered a few games which we don't even think are going to be at Essen. Now, the Boon Lake one is an exception because it was going to be at Essen and it looks like production issues have stopped it being at Essen. But we've also seen a couple of games so far that we've talked about which aren't actually for sale at Essen. One of them is just a prototype and it's going to be on Kickstarter next year. Whether that should be on the Essen list or not, I don't know. But what we've got here is the opposite. What we've got here is a game which is on the Essen list, but is actually already out. And I've got a question for you two watching, and it's also a question for those people watching in the chat.
We're also yes, Calico, right? So
okay.
I'm being hounded for mispronouncing it.
How long before Essen does a game have to have been out for it not to be classed as an Essen game? My question for you two.
Well, and this is an interesting distinction, Paul, because Cascadia, was a Kickstarter that's been delivered. I don't know if it's at retail or not, but I'll tell you one thing. Dark Ages from Board and Dice is also going to come out at Essen, and I believe that will be the first retail availability of it, except for stores that back the Kickstarter selling the Kickstarter version. Right. But I've had my copy of Dark Ages for about a month. So is that an Essen release?
I see what you mean.
I would probably go by widespread retail availability or something. If a few people on Kickstarter get it, that doesn't count. If reviewers get it, that doesn't count. But I just think it's more of a case of, right, a lot of people can sort of get, right, somebody has gone, right, this is where a lot of people can come and get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So initial retail release, is that what we're saying?
I think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Because a lot of game stores do back Kickstarters at the retail level and then have these games for sale as well.
Yeah. So should I be looking into Cascadia then? Because to be honest, I've not played Calico, or however you want to pronounce it. I don't know. I'm looking at this and I know it's really popular and I know a lot of people have been talking about it. I don't know. There's nothing in this that's leaping out to me as a game which I'd be interested in.
I'll play it for 30, 45 minutes. I'll play it. But the fact that it's multiplayer solitaire is probably going to mean that I'm going to play it and go, yeah, it's fine. And then move on.
Yeah. For me, because we're not, I mean, if we were laying tiles together and then competing for the environments we were building, I'd be super interested in that. Because we're not, I'm like, I'll play King Domino.
Right. So this is a no from Mike. This is a not sure from me. Maybe I need to look more at it.
To clarify, Chad, it's not because it's too light. It's just that,
Oh, wait, I got your back, chat, for light games.
Right, okay, let's go back to the list.
I can talk about this next one.
We don't know how far we're going to go down this list. We have been an hour and 12. I want it to be about an hour and a half today. So should we just skip through now for particular ones that we want to talk about?
Yeah, I've got a list here, Paul, but let me talk about this next one just real quick. This is
Paris Eiffel.
It's an expansion for Paris City of Lights, which is a 2-player head-to-head small box game. And essentially what you're doing in Paris City of Lights is it's like a game of 2 phases. The first phase has you laying out these pavement tiles to make up sort of the city, and the tiles are 3 colors, 2-player colors, and then a neutral color. And they've also got lampposts on them, which are the lights of the city.
Okay.
And you're either putting tiles out to create the game space, or you're drafting buildings. In the second phase of the game, you're going to put those buildings onto the tiles. And there's also going to be a series of special moves that you can take. And the moves are communal, so it's sort of first come, first served. But you each get like 3 moves. So if someone takes 3, then the other person still gets 3. They just have less choice. But and then at the end of the game, what's going to happen is you're going to score points by putting these buildings in the second phase onto the board that you've built, but you can only cover up the neutral spaces and your color. And then you're going to get points for having your buildings next to the lights on the board that you built in the first phase. And also, you're going to get negative points for any buildings that you took that you couldn't place. And it's just a really vicious little planning game. It's absolutely great. I really liked it, and I'm excited for it.
So this expansion is definitely on your list then?
Yeah. I didn't actually know it was there, but now I'm keen to get it and try it out.
There we go.
That's a first. There we go. Never heard of it, but fair enough.
Right. Next on the list, very quickly, one of Luke's favourite games.
Next.
Great Western Trail.
What do we even need to say about it? If you like the game, you're getting this.
I've got an interesting question, because I've got the first edition and I've got the Great Northern Rail expansion and Rails to the North. That's it. And I've played it. I've played it a few times. I really like Great Western Trail, and I like the expansion as well. Paul, I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but do I need this because I have the other one?
Yes.
Why?
Because Great Western Trail is one of the best games ever designed, and this is an improved version.
I was going to say, get over the fanboyism. Is this different enough from first edition?
Because my initial reaction was, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
people
here's the
have
thing.
said this to me.
You can perfectly happily play your original edition of the game, no problem. But one of the problems in quotes, with Great Western Trail is because it was so popular and it was played hundreds and hundreds of times, that some small imbalances became clear in a couple of the little things that happened. They've tidied them up with this, and it's basically, as it says, it's Great Western Trail 2nd edition. I can't speak for you as to whether it is worth you rebuying a game you've already got. If you can sell your 1st edition and buy the 2nd edition, then yes. But I would never want to be playing a 1st edition of a game knowing that there is a better, tweaked and more improved version of the same game.
It doesn't sound different enough, because people have said to me, I mean, mainly as a joke, are you actually going to try out the 2nd edition or something?
No,
but
you're
I
not.
look at it and it's like, no. I mean, some minor tweaks to visuals, even though it still looks kind of the same.
Yeah.
But I don't care about the balance tweaks. You need to play this game religiously to even notice some of them. And frankly, I don't even like, when I did play this a few times, I didn't even like doing the builder's route, because I just found that to be underpowered as crazy. But then people will homeschool me on that till the day I die. So it's.
But look at the cute little meeples with the coloured hats.
a lot of people are suggesting that they don't think it's worth it. Do you know what? It reminds me actually of when they released the Fire and Ice expansion for Terra Mystica, which fixed imbalances on the main game board.
Yeah.
And I think, if you're playing Great Western Trail enough that you've noticed these imbalances, then this might be good for you. If you haven't discovered those imbalances yet, or you're not sitting around playing Great Western Trail enough to go, geez, I sure wish they'd fix this, then you probably have answered the question.
Yeah, this is for new people to it. It's like, die-hard fans, I mean the die-hard fans, or people who don't have the first edition and are just waiting for this one to come out. I can't see why otherwise you would replace first with second. It's just not enough of a change for the money.
No.
Although you mentioned about fixing the game, I mean, that kind of reminds me of Feast of Odin with the Norwegians expansion, because that did the same thing. That fixed a lot of balance issues in that one. So, some people, and to be fair, I won't play Feast of Odin without the Norwegians.
Without Norwegians. Neither would I.
But I think the other thing is it's sort of a trade-off of time as well. Like, Feast of Odin is such a long game.
You think?
It's a longish game.
Okay.
Who are you playing with, Paul? Are you playing solo?
Solo.
Paul fights 3 hours short. I mean, that's just...
No.
Paul's playing solo. So
I'm playing solo. It's like 40 minutes.
40 minutes plus setup time. Yeah.
I mean, I think it depends a lot on your group and who you're playing with as well, and player count and all that kind of stuff, of course. But for me, like, I usually play Feast of Odin 2 or 3, and it becomes a lazy afternoon game because we chit chat a lot, because it is very solitary as well. So we tend to have conversation and stuff going on at the same time. So but the point is, it's a big chunky long game, and so I think you get more out of the investment in fixing it than you would in something that's shorter. And Great Western Trail, that's 90 minutes to 2 hours probably. So
No, I mean, I'm definitely getting this one because Great Western Trail for me is a top 10 game. It's my favourite Alexander Pfister game. Well, I've been having this discussion with myself for the last year, if not more, whether I prefer Maracaibo or Great Western Trail. And right now, my gut feeling is I've given it to Maracaibo as being better than Great Western Trail, because Maracaibo has a built-in campaign mode, which I have played through in its entirety and is fantastic. And it has a built-in solo mode, which is also fantastic. And Great Western Trail didn't have either of those. Now, the new version, I believe, does have a built-in solo mode. So that's another... It's not just... Sure, they've tweaked a couple of the things of the game, but this new version has a solo mode built in. I don't know whether it has a campaign or not. It might do. But what that means is Great Western Trail is going to now go back above Maracaibo for me, as probably my favourite Pfister game. So yeah, very much looking forward to this one.
I'm very tempted to pick up a copy just for channel content, but I think that's distinct to what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I had an email from Alexander Pfister 2 days ago to say he's going to try and arrange for me to have a copy waiting for me when I get there. So we will see. We will see. Right. So we're going to zoom down, and we're not going to talk about everything on the list, but should we talk about Arc Nova because of the publisher?
Well, the next two I'm more interested in on this.
Off you go then, Luke. Tell us about Arc Nova.
It's got nothing to do with the publisher, though, because Capstone games are hit and miss. I mean, I didn't mind Cooper Island, but I got bored with that relatively quickly, and there's a few others that have been hit and miss as well.
Right.
But so publisher aside with this, I don't even know the designer, I just fancy a heavy game about making the zoo, because this theme has not been done very much outside of very light games that barely take the theme anywhere. So if this is, and it's, I mean, these cards are giving me a bit of a Terraforming Mars-esque vibe, which is a little worrying, but other than that, if this is a heavy thematic game about building the zoo, I want to try it.
Okay.
But please be thematic. Don't basically be as dry as anything Euro. Do not waste this opportunity. Yeah.
I mean, Spiel, I mean, to give credit, it's unfair to say that this isn't a Capstone Games game, because Capstone Games are the American publisher. But the way it works is Capstone Games are the American publisher for Spieler. This is a Spieler game. So what I'm saying is you can't compare this game to other games from Capstone Games, because Capstone Games are and I might be wrong on this. For all I know, Capstone Games might have been involved in the game's development, but I don't think they have been.
Yeah, Hans is saying Furland, which is fair, because that
it
really
is.
helps. But,
it's a Furland Spiel game, and they've done some amazing games over the last few years. So this is an instant game. I'm not keen on the photo art on the cards. I really don't like that.
I don't mind it when there's animals, though, because at least they look good. The thing that worries me with these cards, though, is that they look complicated as all get out.
They do.
I mean,
that does not look like a simple game.
Yeah, so it's definitely one I want to try, though, and hope that this theme carries forward, because if the theme is strong enough, then I can overlook a few of the little complexity bits.
Yeah. Mike, what's your thoughts on this game and other games from Furland Spiel in the past?
Yeah, for Furland Spiel is always one I keep my eye on.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to try not to get them confused here, but didn't they also do, last year, didn't they do the dice action placement game where you're
Crystal
inventors?
Palace?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. I like Crystal Palace. So
that's why.
And they did, of course, they did the original publishing of Terra Mystica as well.
Yeah.
So those are some of my favorites. So I'm going to be keen to check this out.
That's why they've been more sort of hit and miss. I didn't realize they did Terra Mystica originally, though. That's interesting. But
Terra Mystica is a Furland Spiel game.
I don't play that one anymore, but I didn't like Crystal Palace at all. So but I didn't mind Cooper Island, because I don't know whether
I quite like Cooper Island as well.
I love Cooper Island.
Cooper
really like
got
Cooper
very
Island.
samey. Cooper got very samey very quickly, so I got rid of it. But I did.
Cooper Island is not a Furland Spiel game.
Yeah,
Cooper Island is Frosted Games, and then Capstone Games again just did the US publication. So there's no link there, I don't think, between Cooper Island and this.
But
Luke, you wanted to talk about the next one. Now, this is a game that's published by Portal Games. Luke is actually going to be working some of Essen for Portal Games, so you probably know a bit more about this one already. You might even be demoing this one to people.
Well, I don't know what sort of booth they've got there. I mean, I've only got 8 hours on their booth. This one, as far as I'm aware, is using the Detective Modern Crime board game system.
Oh, right, okay.
To do a cooperative storytelling 1 to 4 player game based on the Dune universe, particularly the new film. Now, I've already mentioned when I did my rant about the Dune game I played recently that I know nothing about this lore. Literally, I'm going into this new movie with next to no knowledge about how Dune works.
Interesting.
I know all about Dune. I know about Dune.
Well, I didn't want to watch the old movies because people said don't bother, and I've got no time to read. So I've had to basically get snippets from friends.
Okay.
But I like the detective games. I like that system. I like storytelling thematic games.
Spoilers.
If this is a storytelling thematic game that can get me sucked into this world, and Portal does do a good job of that kind of thing, they are great on theme, then already I'm interested to give this one a look.
Right.
Yeah, did either of you play through Detective Modern Crime Story?
Finished it.
Yeah. Where is it? Oh, it's down there. And on with the expansion bits, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to it solo or as a group?
No, I played it when my dad lived with us for a few months. We played through it, so it was me, Vicky, and my dad. Whenever that was, a couple of years ago now, we played through all 5 missions over a few weeks.
Yeah, mostly solo, occasionally with a group, but honestly, I played Detective solo because apart from the first time I ever played it, which was a hotel room with Ignacity watching 4 of us play the game, which was kind of weird, but it was a good laugh. There's little reason you need that many people playing Detective. I find there's like not enough to do. Two's
probably the best. 3 because my dad was staying with us and it was fine. I wouldn't want to play it with 4 for the same reason I don't want to play Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective with 4. I don't think there is enough. I wouldn't ever play those games solo because for me, I need that discussion. I need the, we found a bit of information. What does that mean? We talk about things. For me, that's the whole game. The game of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective and all of the other games in that genre are not about reading the stuff and solving the puzzle. It's about talking to other people and trying to work out the puzzle together. It's like the people who play escape room games solo. I would never, ever play an escape room game solo. It's yes, you're enjoying the puzzles, but for me, it's enjoying that experience with other people.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Paul. I played Detective Modern Crime Story at 3. although we didn't actually get to finish the final episode, and now they're going to reset the Antares database. So I don't think I'm ever going to finish it.
Yeah, right. I was to say, get that done soon.
No, I don't think we're going to get to. We had to stop because our group became sort of unavailable, unfortunately. But the thing is, talking just very briefly then in summary about House Secrets here, because I'm super excited for the concept of a detective game set in June. Mm-hmm. I think that though we were terrible, by the way, at detective.
Okay, yeah.
And, to be fair, it was a very social experience. We're all drinking and having a good time, and we didn't really care whether we did well or not. We were having fun, and, we were trying, but, the point is, like, we didn't do very well, and that was kind of fine. Like, it was still fun. But I think that a lot of detective requires you to sort of understand the context. There's a lot of stuff about like history in there as well, and understanding all of these sort of real events. And the thing is, like, there is some character to it, but not really. Like the roles you're playing in detective, those characters are sort of faceless, entities. They're not real characters. So one of the photos here on House Secrets shows 4 player boards with named characters who have been specifically made up for this game, I think, because I don't recognize them from any of the novels, which leads me to believe this is not... I mean, it might be set during the events of the first book or something like that, but it's not like...
it's not the story. Yeah, people are wondering if it's going to be the movie. It's not. It's a bit like Imperial Assault, where you're not playing actual Star Wars characters, you're playing another group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine, because I don't want it to be just a carbon-based copy of the movie.
No.
Yeah, so my thing is, like, basically, you in detective, you can always Google anything that comes up and find out information about it. It's all based on real world events. You can also they actually give you like hyperlinks to Wikipedia as well, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least search terms that you should look up.
Yeah.
So it's not like everything is curated within the Antares database. There's also prompts to do your own research, and that's part of the immersiveness of the theme of that game. In House Secrets, like, that's going to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of June wikis and things like that, but there's a lot of June lore. Like, there's a lot of it, and it's really deep, and it's part of the reason why the books are so fun with this really rich backdrop. But it's also like, and I said this when I was talking about Dune Imperium, I don't think that the Dune games so far have necessarily captured a lot of the character arcs of the novels. Like, the characters are so important to the story. Like, all of this rich backdrop, which comes out in all the board games, is actually not the driving force of the Dune novels. It's about the characters who exist in that universe.
Yeah.
And the games don't really do a lot with that.
Yeah. I played the Dune game recently, the Gale Force 9 reprint of the old one, and characters exist in it. Don't know anything about them. I mean, I know their spice. I know the gist of what each house does. I know that the Bene Gesserits suck in the Dune game. Yeah, so
they don't suck if you can get that one victory condition working,
which never happens. But yeah,
it happened for us. It did. I swear, it was not a fluke. Tom's a very good player, but the point is that he's a manipulative player. But the point is that the thing is, like, I don't know. I'm struggling. Like, I really want to be optimistic about this game, but I don't know how it's going to, what part of Dune it's going to take. Because if it's all about the world of Dune and the history and the lore and the backdrop, that's like a lot of research that people are going to have to do about something they may not necessarily understand a whole lot about. And the other thing is that if it's all about the characters, that's not what this franchise is known for.
Yeah.
So, like, what exactly are they going for here?
Well,
I'm intrigued to find out more, but
I think I'm agreeing with you, Mike, in that one of the things that made Detective quite good in a way was the fact that you would go on to Google Maps and you would actually look up real maps of real locations. You can't do that with Dune. They can't expect the people that are playing this game to know the entire lore of Dune, or to go away and start searching for it. So this game has to be a self-contained game without any knowledge of anything outside of that. Therefore, is it going to feel like a Dune game? Is it going to capture
Paul
that?
went silent. Oh, there we go.
Am I back?
You're back, yep.
Okay, what I was going to say is, because they can't have there can't be the expectation that people are going to have to go outside of the game to find any more information. So therefore, this game has to be self-contained. Everything you need to know has to be in this game, and therefore, is it going to actually feel like a Dune game? Or, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about this game. I don't have any relationship with Portal games, so I don't, I'm not on their list, and I haven't had a Portal game for the last 3 or 4 years, so I probably won't be getting this game. But it's a very, very good marketing thing to find a very popular franchise and do a game on it. And it might be great. I don't know. Or it might be just, we've put a Dune theme on it and it doesn't actually feel like Dune. None of us.
To their credit, Portal games have always offered quite a nice discount for people with press passes at Essen.
Yeah, so not to me. So
I want early entry though. That's what I want. But the one important paragraph with this is that it says on the description, beginning with an introductory prologue designed to get players acquainted with the massive Dune universe. Okay. So it does sound like you should be able to jump in a bit like me, like a noob. So
yeah.
Well, I've got my buddy Michael who does the show with me from time to time, and he loves these kinds of games. I mean, from time to time, he does it a lot. We're basically only going to Essen because he organized everything. But the thing is, like, he loves this kind of game. He knows nothing about Dune, so I think I'm going to pick up a copy of this, and we're gonna play it, and we're gonna see what happens, and I'll let you all know about it.
Yeah. So, Luke, you're going to be getting this one because you're going to be working for Portal Games while you're there, and you like detective, so...
Yeah, it's a story-driven game. It's thematic. It'll get me a chance to learn a bit more of this universe. So, and it's one of those things where it's like, was it 3 modules, a couple of hours each? I can play it, do it, and then just wait for more DLC content. So, yeah, it should be pretty sweet.
Only 3? Okay, because Detective had 5, didn't it?
I think it just said 3.
3
the game then continues. Well, you got a prologue and then 3 big adventures, each taking roughly 3 hours each.
Okay.
And as standalone episodes, and I'm sure there'll be more released.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Big boots still, though, writing new content for June.
So it's an hour and a half, which is about the time I wanted to wrap things up. So are there any other games on the list that you want us to talk about, that you think we should talk about?
None that I can say I'm looking a load forward to, although I think people might have our heads if we don't mention Furnace.
I don't know why Furnace isn't higher on the list.
I don't know anything about Furnace.
Just a quick shout out to Voidfall, because I'm friends with the designers and I do some work with Mindclash Games. Again, this will be playable at Essen, but it will not be released at Essen. It's on Kickstarter right now, so it's got 2023 as a release date, but it is playable at Essen. Where is Furnace on this list, and why is it not much, much higher?
It's further down below Azul and Dreadful Circus.
Wow.
Not whoever, but why is it not higher? Probably, I don't feel that this is going to get a lot of widespread appeal because I have played this. My friend the friend who I was going to get Gollum for, was the one who's shown me Furnace, and I can't remember what I rated it. I think 5 or 6. It's fine, but it's very much a dry engine building game. It's like you auction off some cards that basically do turn X into Y, and then once you've got those cards with a bidding system, which to be fair, the bidding system's interesting because you essentially bid with tokens 1 to 4, and the highest one wins the card. The lowest one gets the bonus at the top of the card instead. So it's kind of like a little bit interesting. But then once you've actually done that bit, the rest of the game is just 4 rounds of rinse repeat, turn X into Y and get some VP, and it's all set to Industrial Revolution style, like brass style thing, which is not exactly a fun theme in itself. So it's kind of like I played it and I thought it was fine, but I just don't. Some people are loving it, probably because it is essentially a 45-minute, 60-minute engine builder game with a bit of auctioning in it. But I found it okay, but I'm surprised it's not higher, the amount of people who are liking it.
This is one of those games which has been popular on social media with a lot of people for quite a while now. I already have a copy from Arcane Wonders set aside for me in a box for when I get there. And I'm very much looking forward to playing it because so many people have said it looks like my kind of thing, and a lot of people have said it's really good. So yeah, I'm definitely getting a copy of this one. Mike?
Yeah, I think it got released earlier. I think that's probably why.
It's the Arcane. It's the English version, I think, because Hobby World contacted me, and Hobby World were interested in me covering it on the channel, and they said, "Oh, but we've only got like a foreign language version available, but Arcane Wonders are going to be doing the English version. I'm like, okay, well, I know people at Arcane Wonders, so we basically agree, and this was ages ago that I had these emails. We agreed that I would hang fire until Arcane Wonders published the English version, and then I'd get a copy of it. So, Mike,
I'll play it.
Furnace?
I'll play it. I have not yet been sold on anything about it. I mean, if you want a really short engine builder, you should try was it Res Arcana?
Res Arcana.
Res Arcana. That's on BGA as well, so you can play that for free.
It is.
Or you can play Seasons.
Yep.
Which was better.
So
well, there you go.
Furnace. Right, let's fly through some.
I'll give it a shot.
Let's fly through some extra ones.
I've got a little list here, actually, Paul. And,
far away.
We have basically not talked about any of these.
Okay.
One of them I wanted to try was Malhaya Lands of Legends, just because it tickles me, but it's also a demo only. So we're going to skip over that.
Okay.
But it's basically a fantasy adventure, dungeon crawler, big whole cooperative board game thing. Right. So if you're into that, that's something you could look at.
You're going to go in and try and get a demo of that then, while you're there?
Yeah, I'll go and try and get a demo of that. And there is a game called... I'd also like to try and demo Witchstone, because I've heard a lot of sort of mixed reviews of that, and I'd like to give it a try.
Witchstone is...
I've never seen that.
Martino... Reiner Knizia and Martino. I'll just call him Martino because, me and him
You're
are on
notice
first name terms.
a little theme of these top two actually on my list here, because, I mean, this is it's sort of a Euro game. It's like I think it's a little bit of a sort of mixed mini games kind of thing where you can do bits of everything, and it looks very thematic, and I just thought it was super cute. And I haven't had a chance to look into it
that looks
much
nice.
more detail than that, but
it's R&R Games. I know somebody at R&R Games. I don't know if they're going to be there, but we'll see.
Don't you know? Yeah,
that's true. Right. Okay.
But
next one.
I think it did come out already. So the other one is another Reiner Knizia called. It's the Siege of Runedar. So I read the rulebook for this because Runedar is Runedar.
Yeah, it's further down that list. Yeah.
Reiner Knizia, Andrew Bosley artwork, which I thought I recognised.
So I love Reiner Knizia first. So to caveat that with that, but I was keen to try to look into this one because it sounds quite unlike any other games I've seen him design. For start, it's got this fantasy theme, which is like really strong in the game, and that's very generic.
I was going to say, quote unquote feed. This is a Knizia game.
That's true.
That's also numbers. True. Yeah, but I mean, then again, the theme is also so generic. It's like, But essentially, it's a cooperative wave defense game. So orcs are trying to get into the fortress to steal gold from the dwarves, and if you ever run out of orcs to place on the board or gold in the center of the board, you lose. And you're doing sort of card play to move your dwarves around the castle to defend it against the orcs.
Okay, I'm sold.
Might be an action optimization game, but all of that sounds fairly. I mean, as a sort of in general, I like all of those things. That I like fantasy, I like dwarves and orcs, I like card play and action selection, all that kind of stuff. Would I check? I might have this at the bottom of my list to sort of like pass by and look at if it weren't for the fact that it's Reiner Knizia, and now I'm like, okay, top of the list.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm sold on this one. It looks like something to definitely have a look at and possibly try. So,
60 to 90 minutes seems a bit long for what it is, but I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, we will see. Was there anything else on your list, Mike?
Yes, I've still got some more if that's okay.
Okay.
Just continue to go real quick. We got King Domino Origins. So I talked a few times about King Domino for some reason during this stream. Has it already come out? There's been a fair few versions of King Domino that have come out, and Queen Domino as well. But this is it looks like this is a sort of a reprint of the original game, but there's extra scoring mechanisms and placing of things on the board. Now, I've got almost all of the King Domino stuff they've released, and I still like the basic game as my favorite version of it, because it's just clean, it's tight, it's vicious, it's short, and that's sort of the best version. If I'm playing a two-player, I'll probably play Queen Domino, which has an element of sort of tile selection and building and sort of various different scoring that you can build up as over the course of the game. But generally speaking, it's just the pure simplicity and hate drafting of King Domino that I like the best about it. So we'll see if this does anything with that. If not, I think I'd stick with the original version. But if it does something new and interesting, I'm keen to have a look at that. I've also got here on my list Grasshopper Poker. I'm probably going to have to spell it for you.
What?
Well, I can spell Grasshopper.
But
it's then typed in wrong.
The German name, I think.
Oh, okay.
So definitely doing the more unheard of ones.
It's Schrecken. Well, I went through the whole list, guys. So the reason, so this is a HEUSCHRECKEN.
Got it.
Poker. Yeah. So this is actually from the little box of games. The one everyone will know will be Cockroach Poker, right?
Yeah. Hard pass for me then.
Yeah, and then there was a bunch of other ones, but this is not your kind of thing, Paul. But so what this is it's sort of an auction set collecting game, and it's actually the first one in the series from the designer of the Cockroach Poker game.
Right.
And what you've got is this hand of cards with the numbers on it. There's also an ace and an X. And what you're going to do is you're essentially making a garden and trying to keep the grasshoppers out of your garden, right? And so the game is going to be, you're going to play your cards. Everyone's going to play one face down. Highest number will get to pick a card from the selection of 3, and then going sequentially, down gets the last card. You want to collect 3 of the same cards, which you can then trade in for a point token. However, if there might be grasshoppers in there. So if you lose the bid, you have to take a grasshopper, and then they're going to eat up parts of your set before you can trade it in for points. The aces always win the bid, but the X will win the bid if it plays against an ace. So an X is worthless unless it's played against an ace, then it overcomes the ace. And what you do is you play through until the entire deck is gone. So you'll pick up, once you've done your bidding, you'll pick up the whole hand of cards. It's super light, but I think it looks really fun. I like this kind of thing.
I mean, I like Cockroach Poker, but I didn't like the rest of the Bug series, so I wonder if this is much similar to it. But then Cockroach Poker is full on bluffing, which is more my thing.
Yeah. Okay, next one, Mike. Have you got any more?
Yes, I do. My next one's Tiny Acrobats. It's just Meeple Circus, but with tighter rules.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah,
that's basically it. But I love Meeple Circus, but I wish it had tighter rules. So there you go.
I mean, 3 others that people have mentioned in the chat, as well as I've heard of, that I'm surprised have not been talked about more. I've got a
few as well.
There was a light pickup and delivery game called Lisbon Tram 28, which Tom reviewed recently, which looked all right from a light pickup and delivery game perspective, but the second I saw that there was a little bell that you could ring in it, I instantly got turned off.
Right.
I thought, okay, that is a cheesy gimmick.
That is a gimmick.
Why is that? Why is that in there? But people have said the game's really good, and it did get a seal of approval, so that's a potential one.
So Lisbon Tram 28 from Pedro Santos Silva, whose name is familiar to me. Can't remember why. Published by Meebo Games, who've done quite a few games.
But this is meant to be like another sort of family weight light game. So I was like, okay, cool, nice to see something that's relatively light. Another one was Board and Dice. It's not an Essen convention unless Board and Dice are releasing something beginning with T at it.
Tabanusi.
So Tabanusi, which I am
absolutely surprised this wasn't higher on the geek list.
Yeah,
I've played this on Tabletopia.
And good.
It's a very crunchy Euro. We enjoyed our play. It's a lot. It took us a long time. It's very heavy.
Yeah.
Well, most of the T ones
most of them
are on that sense. I mean, this one looks like fully mechanical. What theme? But then, I mean, I like Teotihuacan. I like that one. I like Tekenu. Fine. This one basically looks like, it's going to be another one of those. I mean, right down to the 3 tracks there at the top right that just look like there's something to leave your cubes up. So, I mean, it's something I'd like to try, but I'm just worried it's going to be very much more of the same.
Well, this is so what you've got there are the 3 city areas you're building in the city, and there's kind of this whole sort of like territory contention thing going on there. But you're also placing dice as workers. And you're advancing up those tracks in the top corner. So, and then there's the boats in the bottom right is like a sort of an upgrade system that you can access that also has points on it. And I'm trying to really summarize this, but a lot of it's the systems are incredibly interlinked. Everything is interlinked in this game.
Like
everything
games,
sort of has consequences that impact on the other stuff.
Yeah. I'm very, very surprised this wasn't higher on the list. I'm glad we're talking about it. It was one of the ones that I was going to talk about afterwards. Love Teotihuacan, love Tekkenu, not played Tawantinsuyu yet.
Tawantinsuyu was all right.
Okay.
I mean, that one's...
Go on.
Carry on.
Everything I know about this one, and just looking at the board there, I can almost guarantee that this is going to get covered on the channel before the end of the year. I do have a relationship with Board and Dice. Rainer's in the chat. He said it's an okay game. So I'm hoping.
Well, full credit to Board and Dice. They've always been incredibly good at supporting the media and people in the media.
Yeah.
So I mean, Philip from Board and Dice is coming to the meetup on Thursday night that we're having. So if he doesn't bring a copy of it, then I'll go and grab it the next day. Yeah. But this is very high on my list. This might be the Wednesday night game. If Messina is the Tuesday night game, this might be our Wednesday night game.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
I'll happily play it.
Tassini's designs have been sweet enough for these, so I want to try as well. And I don't really want to talk about this last one, but I want to be nice to Hans because he has been very chatty in the chat. Is anybody even remotely looking forward to Imperial Steam?
I remember having a conversation with Clay from Capstone Games when this one was first announced. And it's by the same designer that did Lignum, I think, if I've got this correct. And I think this might be, and the chat will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is is it either a tweaked version of Lignum? Is there any relation to Lignum other than the same designer?
No idea. I mean, this is actually Capstone, no? This
is actually Capstone. And this is a game which, when Clay first told me about it, I was very interested in it. I mean, if you look at it, you look at the icons on it, this is screaming out to be
trains.
The fact that it's trained doesn't really matter. This is the kind of game that I like. So this is on my list to look at. And I do need to speak. I mean, Clay is going to be there from Capstone Games. Capstone Games are going to be there. I need to go and speak to Clay and see if he wants any of these games covered on the channel because I'm very interested in that one.
I wanted someone to talk about it because I'm not going to be that person. No. But I mean, Hans was mainly saying it as a joke in that because it's a train game.
Oh, you're going to hate it.
It's going to be totally the wrong thing for me. Yeah. I know I'm going to need this one. It's even named. It's got the two most generic names
Imperial
in its title.
Steam.
It's like, oh man. So yeah, this is one that I would have. I know I say I play any game once. I make a slight exception to that rule when it comes to these heavy investment train games.
I don't think you would enjoy this one whatsoever. The only thing that would make this game any worse for you, Luke, is if we called it Imperial Steam 1892.
Yeah. Literally, I'll say 18 Imperial Steam or something. It's got to be that.
So I like. I don't have a problem with train games. I do enjoy some train games. I really like. I mean, a lot of my exposure to this is Martin Wallace.
Yeah.
I play Age of Industry. I play Railways of the World. And I play the Brass games, although they're not train games. They're a similar kind of mechanism. I don't really like pick up and deliver as a core mechanism.
Okay. Oh, I love it.
But I do like Railways of the World, and I like it because of the vicious territory control element, and that you have to build the routes. Yeah. So it's pick up and deliver, but you have to build the routes and manage the economy, and that stuff is fun. But the building of the routes, that's what gets me, right? That kind of player interaction where you can block people, force them to go around the mountains, make their routes garbage.
I'm definitely getting this vibe from you. If Paul is looking at a game as long as it's beige, you are looking at a game providing it is vicious as all get out, because all your favorites seem to be the most meanest of games.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, I think I'm playing that role in this group, Luke, because that's not necessarily true. But I do think that if the thing is, I think when it comes to like a Euro-y puzzle, Paul's the connoisseur. He's the one that can look for the sort of the new puzzly exception. Whereas I'm quite happy to just I don't have the same experience with those games as Paul, because I think I have much a a broader palette. Like Paul says, hard pass to a lot of things. I very rarely have hard passes. So it's just I'm not as connoisseur in that area as Paul is. So for me, what Imperial Steam needs is some kind of like sort of standout thing, or some kind of twist on the pick up and deliver mechanism to get me interested in it. If it's like, pick up and deliver and economic management, but it's just done tighter or slightly better than those other versions, I mean, that's a good recommend, because you can say to someone, hey, if you're interested in that, get this one. It's a really good new example of the genre, and you don't need these other ones then. But if it's not doing something more interesting or different, then I don't know, I'm not.
Stuff like Age of Steam or the chat say like you need to play things like Age of Steam and 18xx games, which is true, because you want to be mean as old get out, you play one of those games.
So that's definitely on my list, and I will be speaking to I was going to see Capstone Games when I'm there. Right, there's a few other things that I wanted to mention that I'm surprised haven't been mentioned before. There is a new Azul game coming out. Now, I've only played the original Azul, but I appreciate that these games are very popular, and I was surprised that this one wasn't higher on the list. How do you two feel about Azul?
I think it's going to be burnout with this one. I mean, I used to have the original Azul in the collection, but I've sold that now because I prefer Reef and Mandala Stones for that sort of thing. But I didn't like Sintra.
Yep.
I thought that turned the luck up to 11 in that one. I didn't mind Pavilion, but it just made the game twice as long. So it's like, well, why don't I just play the base set Azul?
Okay.
And I think it's just burnout at this point. I think everyone's now kind of, oh god, another Azul. It's you're taking the exact same mechanism and adding a slight tweak to it. It's like, we've got original Azul. That was the best of the lot so far. We're good now, I think.
Mike?
Nearly. I've only played 2 versions of Azul. I also played Mandala Stones, which is why I was interested when you said Philippe was going to the meetup, because I didn't like it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And I have told him. I have told him that you are going to be at the meetup and that you didn't like it. So it's all sorted. Yeah, it's all fine.
You printed me a T-shirt that says that.
I don't like Mandala Stones.
Was it? I'm mean and I don't like Mandala Stones.
I mean, I didn't. I'm not so excited by Azul that I'm particularly interested in this.
I've only ever played the first one, so.
This is where I'd really value content from someone like Luke, who's played all of them, and if he can come along and say, "Hey, this is the best version yet," then that would be interesting to me, because I don't have any copies of Azul yet.
Yeah, I'll play it. I mean, 45, 60 minutes. It's not gonna be difficult to get into a demo of this one and try it. Yeah, I think the reason it's not being put, because I mean, I looked through a lot of the Essen stuff, and it's like, oh, Luke, have you got an anticipated list? And it's like, well, I'm struggling to find 10 that I'm excited for. And Azul would be like a case of I'll try it, but again, it's the 4th one now.
But as you say, this might be the best one. We don't know. And a lot of people are already sort of moved on and dismissed it and think, oh, no, we've had enough of them. This might be the best one. We don't know. We don't know.
It could well be. Who knows?
Right. A couple of other mentions. Maracaibo expansion. I don't know whether it's actually going to be out or not. Because I'm supposed to be being sent an early copy of this for me to cover it on the channel. And I haven't been sent a copy, and Essen's next week. So I don't quite know what's happening with this one, but I'll find out. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier on, I've been playing Maracaibo a lot because I've been helping test the digital app. Love the game. I think it's fantastic. Can't wait for the expansion to come out. Really, really looking forward to this one.
Is Board and Dice going to bring? You said that he's bringing the other one to the meet. Is it going to bring Origins First Builders? Because I'm surprised that's not higher.
This one.
That's on my list. I can talk about that.
It's on my list. I've already played it. I've already covered it on the channel.
You have.
And do you want me to let you into a behind the scenes secret here?
Ooh, yes, please.
I don't know whether I should say this, but it's Saturday afternoon.
Yes, you definitely should.
Okay. I'm going to say this, and I don't know whether I should or not, especially with Reiner still being in the chat.
Be honest.
I covered this game on the channel, okay? And I did a solo playthrough, and I did a 3-player playthrough of the game. And I really like the game. I think it's very clever. I think mechanically it works really well. It's got some really interesting decisions in it. And it's a game which I recommend, and I liked playing.
It looks cool.
After the playthrough, the designer sent me a private message, Adam Krupinski, and said, what did you think about the game? Now, when a designer of a game contacts you privately asking for your opinion of the game, you're like, well, it's a little what if I didn't like it, you know? And I said to him, and you know me, I'm almost as honest as you, Luke. I said to him, I said, do you want my honest opinion? And he said, yeah. And I said exactly what I've just said to you. I said, the game's great. It's got some really interesting decisions. I really love the way that the building cycle and the dice cycle and the dice placement and all of that sort of stuff. I said, and the theme of the game is it's an interesting setting. The fact that it's aliens and they are influencing the human race's building of the ancient stuff. I says, but I didn't feel that any theme actually came across within the game itself. Now, for me, that's not a problem in any way whatsoever because I play a game for the mechanisms, not for the theme. And I was a little nervous about saying that. And Adam's reply to me was, yeah, there's no theme in the game. And I'm like, phew.
Oh yeah, most people know that they've got to bolt on a theme because it can't be totally abstract. And I mean, I looked at this and saw your stuff, and it's like, okay, yeah, I know this is going to be a dry game, but the mechanisms do look pretty sweet. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm keen that this is one that I actually did think, yeah, this will be on an anticipated list. But any good designer can take constructive criticism. If a designer ever flips their lid because you don't like something about their game, they should get out of designing games.
Well, I can off air, I can list you at least one designer who has flipped their lid because of comments that I might have made because I didn't think their game was 100%.
I can list the whole publisher, but they're not in business anymore. That's fine.
Well, I mean, we're all here because we're creators of content of one form or another. I think when you get into content creation of any type, the first thing you learn is that you have to hear all criticism, and you have to be able to filter out what is and isn't useful. And I think the criticism that hurts the most is the stuff that hurts because deep down you know it's right and you need to do something about it.
But well, as I say,
but if you can't handle that, then you're not going to be able to refine your product. You know, you're not going to be able to make better content.
But anyway, so I've already played this. Have either of you two played this?
Yeah, we played it on Tabletopia.
Right.
Rainer actually did a rules explanation for me on it, and then we went off and played it.
Yeah, most these ones I would not have played first because as much as I like playing stuff on mainly Tabletop Simulator and a few of the others, I'm one of these sort of people that likes to play the physical copy first.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because one, I want to handle all the cool stuff in front of me. And secondly, one problem with online play is that one of the big things I look for in a game is whether the length justifies the experience I have. Because a lot of these heavy games take too long for what they are. And anything you play online takes at least an hour and a half longer than it should because you're playing it online. And I don't want my first experience of a game to be, that's way too long because it's online.
Look, I 100% agree with you on that. That's absolutely true. But we have just been in a pandemic.
But you know, I mean, we can meet now. I mean, it's
now we can meet. Yeah,
now we can meet.
The last year we didn't have a choice, but it's just that's why when they sort of say, "Oh, do you want to try the game on TDS first?" It's like I'm going to play it live soon. You know, like in person. So I'll look forward to that more than anything else. The only one you knew I was going to like this one, though, because the workers are dice.
The workers are dice, and they get older.
But dice workers are cool in that. Two others I mentioned. Settlement. I've actually got that on the table because I have played that one. I
wanted to talk about that.
They did send me a copy of that one.
Settlement. So you've got a copy of this already. This is from iGames.
Yeah. I've already played it. Rado's done a review of it as well.
Okay.
Wonderful players. It's the same person who did Detective Club and Mysterium, and that's some party games that I absolutely adore. So to see him do a Euro game was interesting.
That's what piqued my interest as well, and also I love the theme.
Definitely
it's not a good theme, but it's right up my alley.
It's definitely a dry Euro in that. Experiences I've had with this is that it does the job, but I don't know how much staying power it has. Basically it is a bone dry engine building Euro game. So you've got your little player board. Meeples are the resource that you use in order to do various actions, but it's like explore a region. Here's a tile that gets your resource. You know, get a city tile, put it in your thing, activate a row, trigger X into Y, those kind of things, and buy some hero cards with resources for points. So it is your bare bones dry like Euro engine building game with the extra little tweak that these artifacts that you can have from round to round is a bit like the Terra Mystica Guard Project bonus tile thing, where each one gives you something cool for the round, but depending on when people pass dictates whether you'll be able to get the one that you're after, which is neat enough. With this one, I mean, it's well produced. It is gorgeous and very well done. I gotta give it props for that. I mean, it's got wooden pieces for loads of stuff, even if they're not used for much. The artwork's beautiful, so it is definitely a looker for the price. And it's only about 60 minutes, if that. Extremely easy to play. So, but it is 100% multiplayer solitaire. Pretty much.
Meeple Pete is in the chat and said it feels very solitaire. Yeah.
The solo mode is literally the exact same game with a slight tweak. That's how multiplayer soloed is. And it's the sort of thing that I can't say I don't like it. It's more the fact that I just don't think it's a keeper. But it does the job of being a bare, very easy to play introduction level engine builder game that looks good. So I think this is going to appeal to a lot of gamers who just want something light that they can show new gamers, because I think this is gateway level friendly. I think it's not complicated at all. The iconography is pretty clear what it does, and it is basically just a case of here's your currency, get resources, buy cards, nice and straightforward, with some choices in the actions. But I don't see a lot of gamers going mad for it.
Well, I've got sort of two main groups that I play with, and I think one of the groups would be a really good fit for this.
Light
because
gamer.
They're not like sort of board gamers in the sense that we are.
Light and new gamers, I can see this one being quite solid. For me, it was one of those things where I say I can respect a lot of stuff it gets right. Because I've got to do a blitz review of this at some point soon anyway, and it's like I respect a lot of stuff it does right, but for me, I'm not the target audience, I don't think. I like light games, but with light games, they're not just engine builders. I mean, lightest engine builder I think I've got on my shelf is probably Empires of the North and Seasons, I think those two. But they're very unique styles of engine builders.
Other ones on my list that I thought might have been up there, Bonfire. There's an expansion set for Bonfire coming out.
I'm surprised that's not higher.
I thought it might be high because I thought Bonfire, certainly in the circles that I follow, Bonfire seems to be a well-respected and popular game. I mean, most Stefan Feld games don't have expansions for them. And
Paul doesn't get to... Paul, can you talk about Stefan Feld without bias?
I don't know.
No, I can't.
I read the rule book for Bonfire, and I watched your video about it. And I think it probably is a very competent Euro at its core with some interesting crunch. But I think that thematically, it was impenetrable.
No, there's no theme in any Stefan Feld game.
There is no.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. Like, I think the crunchy Feldian mechanisms were all the more impenetrable because there wasn't a theme to sort of hold your hand or guide you to obvious step or anything like that. I think it's the kind of thing where you either sit down and you go, I know what these mechanisms are. I've seen them before. I'm interested in this new take on them. Or you're like, what is this? You know,
the theme is not only not there, it's just a weird theme.
It is odd.
That's what I mean. I think it actively it's like the anti-theme. Do you know what I mean? It makes it harder to figure out.
For a different game, something I would like to know more on, because I don't know anything, and I think this is purely because it's a relatively light, short game, but the artwork on that cover is beautiful. Does anyone know anything about Living Forest?
Nope.
No.
This is Ludonaut Games, so they tend to do sort of more family weight stuff. 2 to 4, 40 minutes, weight 2, so this is going to be a lightish game.
I mean, it's a gorgeous front cover.
And that cover and like all the green, maybe I'm slightly biased because green is one of my favorite colors, but it looks interesting. But the fact that it's just gorgeous as all get out instantly, and I do like games for their mechanisms as well, but a good theme and aesthetics is going to make the game more interesting to play every time. And because we're in a point now where there's thousands of games every year, it's easy to get by now jaded on the sense that we've played so many games, we now need something new, inspiring, innovative, or different. And so if I'm going to browse, this is no different than browsing a shelf in a never-ending corridor full of games. You're only going to grab the ones that catch your eye. And so they've got to make that point first. And a lot of the big stuff that's hot on this list, I think, has got very bad, like, shelf pulling things. Like, I mean, I get it may be a great heavy Euro for some, but it's like, why would you ever pick it off the shelf? This one, though, I know very little about this game, but the second I saw that cover, it's like, I want to give this a play.
Well, the image that I've got on screen right now looks okay, but there are things that are turning me off this game straight away. First of all, it says age 8+.
Oh, is it a kids game?
Right, so there's the first thing. It doesn't look like a kids game. From this image here, it doesn't look like a kids game. But then when you look at, and this might be totally unfair, but when you look at this image, which is simply cards with pictures and numbers on, and then I see 8+, yeah. So this is not a game. Again, might be unfair. This might be a really good game. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm expecting this to be kind of like family weight level as well, but it's just
looks like it, yeah.
If it can look, because what Mike said about like the different gaming groups, I've got a similar thing actually, because the two groups that I go to mainly, the one I don't run is more heavy stuff that I tend to end up playing there, whereas the club I run in Portsmouth is kind of a mixed bag. It depends who I'm playing with at the time, but a lot of the times, because I'm introducing new people to the club, we are playing lighter stuff. Like midweight is as high as I'm going, like Architects of West Kingdom level stuff, rather than throwing something like Dominant Species Marine on top of them. So something like this would be something that I would go, right, you're new to gaming, let me try this one, assuming it's good.
You could do that, but I've already got 50 other games that would, well, maybe not 50, but I've already got 20, 25 other games that I've got for new to people gaming, so...
What's Jill saying here? There is a theme, there's a flipping storybook for the theme. Is this about this game or something different?
Know. Might be something else. Bonfire, maybe. Quick mention to Stroganoff. Stroganoff, I think, is going to be available there. I'm not 100% sure. I covered this on the channel when I got a prototype of it. I really enjoyed it. Andreas Stedding, I think, is a great designer, and I love pretty much all of the games that you've done. I'm not sure if this is going to be available at Essen or not, but
I want to try it because this is one I regret not backing.
Do you?
Well, I was about to say, Andreas Stedding, just for chat, but he's still coasting for me on his enormous amount of credit from Hansa Teutonica. I don't think he's ever got nearly that good again. But I backed this immediately on Kickstarter.
Did you? Right. So, Mike, you backed this. Luke, you regretted not backing it.
Well, I'm not. It's not because of the designer at all. It's mainly because, again, the art and the theme looks really good. I mean, it looks beautiful as all get out.
Okay.
If anything, the reason I didn't back it was because of no offense to him, but it was because of the designer's previous games. Because looking on the 7 that he's done, Gugon was okay.
I quite liked it.
And
I sold it.
Well, Gugon was okay. I don't know War of the Buttons or Nuremberg or whatever. I've played Stelford Dynasty. That is bare bones average Euro. Firenze is the one I've got on my shelf and do really like. The tower building one. And unless you want to get into another Great Western Trail style rant, we'll avoid Hansa Teutonica.
Hansa Teutonica is the driest, themeless Euro that there is, but it's an amazing game.
And super vicious. Yeah, I can see
absolutely brutal.
Yeah. It's like
I'm not even very good at it.
Yeah,
it's just so good.
Like, this is something I played ages ago, and I'm like, never play this again. It's like, bad.
Yeah,
I can see that this is
the original little box here with all the expansions in it.
Yeah, I got the big box version now as well. It's very good.
It's your type of game through and through, but yeah.
Well, I hated Hansa Teutonica. The first 3 times I played it, I hated it. I did not get it. I didn't understand what was going on. And then a friend of mine sat me down and said, Paul, the idea of this game is that you go places that you want to be kicked out, because when you get kicked out, you get a bonus. Oh, and then all of a sudden I'm like...
And if you don't do well...
There are all of these Euro mechanisms, like upgrading tracks and getting victory points, but you also have to pay attention to what everyone else is doing.
Yeah. No, it's excellent.
Before you get kicked in the teeth. It's like...
Right.
I thought Gugong was quite good. I quite enjoyed Gugong. I kind of regret selling it, actually. I wish I'd kept my copy around.
Not played it, but I heard good things about it.
I mean, I don't think it sets the world on fire, but it's a competent Euro. It's not particularly heavy. It's reasonably exciting. It's a good solid game.
Stroganoff's art and theme is what was the tempting part of backing it, and
don't expect much in the way of theme.
Sure.
You can do a lot with cards and art for theme without necessarily having synchronized.
Yeah, it is I mean, I like the game, but it is a mechanical game. rather than a thematic game. I'm trying to find the.
But if it's visually pleasing to look at, that helps as well. I mean, Scythe is not a thematic game, but I love Scythe, but it looks gorgeous on the table. So when I play it, I can get sucked into it a bit more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Stroganoff, the artwork and the graphic design look really nice. So.
And look at the cover. It's all beiges and greys.
It's all beiges and greys.
It's got something for everyone.
I think we've frozen. I think we've frozen again.
Have you frozen again? I'll go back to Discord. It keeps doing that now and again. But hopefully you'll come back now that I've alt-tabbed to Discord. Yes, you're working again. So I think I'm done with everything that I wanted to cover. So let's just summarise the ones after we've now been through them that I'm looking forward to. Messina 1347, absolutely. Lost Ruins of Arnak, absolutely. Expansion. Golem, yeah, very much looking forward to that one. Boone Lake, yes. Don't think it's going to be there. Great Western Trail, yes. I'm skipping past Voidfall because it's only a demo only. Coffee Traders, I've sort of got an interest in. We've not mentioned that much. It's very expensive.
I played it. That's been out for a while.
Yeah. I didn't mention it because it has been available to buy for a while.
It has.
I mean, it's a very heavy Euro.
Yeah.
And it also does some things that are... The thing is, it's all about taking actions that benefit everybody.
Okay.
So it's very it does a lot of new stuff that is interesting. The rulebook is terribly written.
Yes.
So I wish that was a lot better.
Bad things.
Yeah. Capstone need to get people in.
So if only we knew people who did that, Paul.
If only we knew people. Anyway, back to the list. Stroganoff, yes. Maracaibo expansion, yes. Furnace, yes. Bonfire expansion, yes. Imperial Steam, yes. Tabanusi, yes. Origins First Builders would be a yes, but already got it. Perseverance, Castaway Chronicles. I don't know why that's on the list because that's not out till next year. They've probably got it for demo maybe. And Galaxy Trucker, I've been sent an early copy of that, so that's probably my. Oh, and Origins First Builders again already got a copy of that, so that's probably my 10 or 15. Luke, do you want to just summarise your top 10 that we've talked about today?
It's hard to find 10, I got to admit, because before we did this, there wasn't a lot I was looking forward to, to get excited about, and I don't think that's changed dramatically from this.
So let's go through Arnak expansion.
But I am more knowledgeable of a few. But I mean, Batoku I want to try.
Okay.
Something different from them. Obviously, I want Arnak expansion, like nobody's tomorrow. Not interested in Boone Lake Kingdom, Kodua. I'll try Cascadia, but not that excited. Arc Nova as well, and I do want to try.
Yeah.
I hope that's a good heavy theme. Dune House Secrets. Yep. I want a good thematic story-driven game. Voidfall, I'm still on the fence about backing it. I probably will back it. Okay. There was something. Oh, Shinkansen, which was apparently building a train line in Japan. We didn't talk about, but I'm not too first.
Trains.
Yeah, exactly. Origin. Yep, I do want to try that one definitely.
Yep.
But, I'd like to play that in real life.
And possibly that Living Forest one, just hoping it's like a family weight game. But no, I mean, there's not a lot else there that I'm going, goo goo gaga for. It's I will try it, but yeah, maybe we've just been doing this too long.
Right. Mike?
Do you want to
give us your top 10?
How long have you been doing this, Luke, the YouTube channel?
Now, the blog about 7 years. I think the channel about 5.
So I've been doing my channel about 5 years as well. And I'm just as keen. I'm excited. I'm like, all of Paul's list, please. Plus.
Right.
But with maybe the exception of Imperial Steam. I need to see something more from that to pique my interest. Like I said, if its primary thing is economic management, pick up and deliver on preset tracks or tracks where there's not a lot of contention for space, I'm
maybe not for you. Okay.
I think it's the speedy release of everything. With so much getting released, I'm always looking for something new. And a lot of the games that I go rave about, particularly with the latest stuff on the top 100, is they do stuff we like, but put a twist on it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, a lot of these ones that I'm seeing getting released at Essen are kind of okay, they've probably got the legs to stand on, but where's that twist? Maybe I'm cult of the old, I don't know. If the game's already out and it does the job well, why do I need another one to attempt to replace it?
Because the second edition version has little meeples with cowboy hats, Luke.
I wasn't even referencing that. You got that.
So give me all of Paul's list. I'm also quite excited to try out Witchstone and
Siege of Rundar.
Siege of Rundar as well, for sure.
I'll play that one with you if we can find a time.
Yeah. I also, I haven't mentioned Equinox, which is another Reiner Nizia, because it actually came out at UKG. I've got a copy.
That one I played, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun little one. I really liked that. I wish it was a turn longer, but other than that, but we only played it at sort of the maximum player count. But
I thought it was about the right. Like, I mean, the thing is, for those in the chat, if you're thinking about Equinox, if you play Colossal Arena, it's the exact same game. So
it's a reskin of
Colossal Arena. Yeah.
So that's that one. But I'm also quite keen to have a look at Hippocrates, which we haven't talked about. But that's
which is also Game Brewer.
Yeah. But Dune House Secrets as well. That's high up on my list. I'm going to grab Grasshopper Poker. I'm excited for that. Yeah. And that's a cheapy little one. Yeah. And also I think that's Settlement. I'm quite keen to check out Settlement. Although, Luke, after your discussion, I think I want to demo it before I consider buying it, because it sounds like it's one I'm buying to sort of help get people more into the hobby. And if I'm going to get the Arnak or Arnak expansion, that's kind of filling the same niche for me. Mm-hmm. I know that Settlement's probably a lot simpler than that.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It is a lot simpler. I mean, Settlement's kind of the sort of thing that, like, I'm not going to hang on to this, but I can definitely think, right, Game Cafe, you're keeping this because you're going to need it and you're going to use it a lot. It's definitely in that wheelhouse. Hippocrates looks interesting. I think it's just the fact there's not a lot of info on it that I haven't focused on it.
I'm actually going to, this weekend, I am going to drop an email to my contacts at Game Brewer to find out what of theirs is available, because Hippocrates, I'm just looking at the board now.
It does look good.
That's my kind of game. Straight away.
So I was actually remiss. I missed this on Kickstarter, and it is of course from Alan Orban, who's the co-designer on Troyes and Black Angel and all that kind of stuff. So
and Game Brewer do produce really good games. Production quality is really good. Rulebooks are good. So.
And it sounds like this is basically a sort of a Euro-style game. It sounds thematically a lot like Clinic or Dice Hospital, except set in ancient times with ancient medicine, right?
Yeah.
So
does it have the medical tag?
Yeah, it does. I think it probably does.
Where's the tags?
It'll be fun on that. But I'm scrolling like really down that list. I mean, there's apparently an expansion for Tekkenu is actually on the works there. It's on the list.
Is it? Oh right, okay.
Yeah, Tekkenu: Time of Seth. Apparently.
Right, okay, I forgot about that. That's too many games.
So that would be something there. One thing I'm surprised I am not seeing, though, maybe it's not getting released to Essen, but what about that new Seven Wonders game?
The Seven Wonders Second Edition?
No, the Architect spin-off.
Oh, yeah, like Seven Wonders Simpler? I don't know who that's for.
I mean, I'm concerned that it might just be like, okay, we've already got Seven Wonders, why do we need this? But then Seven Wonders Duel is fantastic. So I'm
can't go
curious about it. I mean, some of these ones, as you scroll down, they're kind of like, oh, English of this, German of that. I will give a shout out to Empress 4, though, Geisha's Road. I mean, I'm not surprised that that's not high up the list, because most people wouldn't have even looked at it twice. But if you liked Hanamakoji, which I've got, because I got to do a blitz review for this game as well as those little mini expansions. Geisha's Road is basically a sequel to Hanamakoji, same designer, same publisher, Empress 4, small line of games. But if you thought the decisions in Hanamakoji made your brain burn, like, oh, these are simple decisions, but man, I'm angsty about which one I want to do, then Geisha's Road is going to literally melt your brain like within seconds, because you've got that same mechanic of here's your action tiles, get influence over various people, but then on top of that you have a rondel bit on the side that is part of the way of scoring points. It's like, oh my word, the decisions are hard to make in that one, in a good way. This is not like bad. It's kind of like, if Hanamakoji is your entry level for gamers that still has really meaty decisions, this is the gamers Hanamakoji.
Okay, well, I've not played Hanamakoji, but I have played a game from Emperor S4, and it was really good. And I'm just looking, Realm of Sand. I think it's possibly the only game of theirs that I've played, and it was really good.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
Realm of Sand's all right. Walking in Burano is one I've talked about a lot. I mean, not all their games are like fantastic in a sense, but they're all generally good. They do a lot of these small box games that give you a lot in the package, and I'm a big fan of that. Lots of game in a small cardboard box, cheap package, because again, big heavy euros with all these pieces means a lot of money, which not everybody wants in that one. But I mean, people in the chat are certainly happy about the Hanamakoji one. If you're excited, I will try and get a blitz review done for this game as well as the Hanamakoji expansions in time to release during Essen. So, because I do want to get, I mean, they sent me the copies of the games and I've already played them, so I do want to get that really soon.
Yeah. Right.
I guess the one final quick mention, because nobody's mentioned it yet, but there's not a lot of information about it, so I'm basically just name dropping it here. But it's a game, and I don't even know if they'll have an English copy at Spiel, because the game box is only on the title's only on German.
Okay.
It's a Kingsbridge das Spiel. So this is apparently a narrative card-driven game that tells the story of the Pillars of the Earth.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's designed by Wolfgang Kramer, which is really interesting to me.
There's almost nothing about this, but it's Wolfgang Kramer.
Almost nothing about it. But
we've got a picture of the box.
There for sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope they change that box cover.
So I'm just kind of intrigued to go and check this out, see if it's for sale, see what it's all about, because I like narrative games. I like card-driven sort of exploration-y stuff or whatever's going on here. Wolfgang Kramer's a great designer.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. There's no information on BGG
but there's
apart
nothing.
from
I couldn't find anything.
One thread 2 months ago saying any information on this game, and that's
exactly. But it is listed as being there for sale. So
okay, well, we will have to see. Okay, so now at the start of this video, I said we were going to be about 90 minutes. We've been 2.5 hours, which
have we really?
Which is very, very much tying in with the printed playtime on most games on BGG. So, because when you see the printed playtime on BGG, double it, because that's what it will be, and that's pretty much what we've done today. But I've had a thoroughly good 2.5 hours, and thank you very much to you two for helping me go through the list, because I now need to go away, and on the train journey to London on Monday, I am going to basically go through the full release list and make a proper plan of the games that I want to look at. And there are some that you two have mentioned today that I wouldn't have been on my radar, but they now are. And obviously, people from the people in the chat as well have obviously thrown some games at us.
Yeah,
well,
they've also realised about the timers. But if you're a Euro gamer and you're happy playing 2.5, 3 hour games and not calling that too long, you can't say anything about a live stream taking the same amount of time.
No, exactly.
Listen, there's a lot of it's all good information.
It is. I mean, I mean, obviously, it's been fun chatting to you two, and obviously, I've got something out of this. But I hope that people watching have got something out of it as well. If you have, obviously, thank you very much to everybody for watching live. If you're not watching this video live, if you're watching this video afterwards, please give the video a thumbs up and a like, and leave me a comment. Let me know which games we talked about have now got on your radar, or which ones you're particularly interested in. Obviously, we've gone through the Essen list. Some of them are not going to be at Essen. Some of them have already been out a couple of months, and even some of the ones that are coming out at Essen might not arrive with you for another 3, 4, 5 months, whatever, because there's been some production issues. So, I know Messina 1347, there are limited copies available at Essen. It isn't going to be, there isn't not going to be thousands of copies available. It is going to be limited, which is why I'm getting it on the Thursday. And some of those games, you might not see yourself for a few months. Anyway, we're done. So I'm going to be leaving first thing Monday morning. You two are going to be arriving on Tuesday. You're not going to get into the halls on the Tuesday, are you?
Well, no, because I don't think we've got access.
We're press pass, so we don't get in until Wednesday.
So I will.
And even then, I don't think we get in the halls.
I will let you know where we're staying, and depending on how our travel goes, I might need, a quiet early night. Also, I don't know what the gaming space is like in the hotel where I'm staying. But basically, I will let you two know where I'm staying on the Tuesday night if you wanted to come and join us for a chat or whatever. But other than that, we'll see you in the halls on the Wednesday. Do you get access on the Wednesday?
Yeah.
To the press event thing.
To the press event. So I won't see you in there on the Wednesday.
Yeah, not in the
actual.
actual.
At the meetup. No, that's Thursday, isn't it?
That's Thursday.
Meetups Thursday evening will be there.
Yeah.
We're in the showcase or whatever it is on Wednesday, but not in the actual halls itself. And Tuesday we haven't got any access. Basically, press means you get to go to that one event, but otherwise you get in with everyone else.
Yeah.
Luke, press. The most important thing about the press pass is the parking permit.
Yes,
to get into the press parking area. That is the
to be able to park underneath that trade fair and go, right, I've got a bunch of stuff, car boot, get going. It's basically economy plus for
the logistics benefit. That's what the press pass is for.
So we're all good, we're all done. So I will say thank you very much to you two for joining me this afternoon, and to everybody for watching. It's been a blast. We're going to disappear now. I'm going to go back to my playtest downstairs. And I'll see you both next week in Essen.
Yeah, and hopefully see some of you guys there at home at Essen also.
Yeah, if you are going to be at Essen, then keep an eye out for us. I will be working for the first 2 hours of each day at the CGE booth, where I'll be doing demos of Under Falling Skies. So if you want to learn how to play Under Falling Skies, come by there. Luke, you're going to be working sometime at the Portal Games booth.
Yes, Friday. At the moment, it looks like part of Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon. I'll be at the Portal booth with a few of us there. Otherwise, I'll be roaming the place. I haven't got many interviews booked, so I'll just be roaming and trying out lots of games. Yes, I'll have a mask. I'll even put a picture up in advance so you can recognize me, what I look like in a mask.
Yeah.
But basically, come find me, say hi, and give me a hug. Yeah, right. I'm not afraid to hug.
I will also be, if you can't find me at the CGE booth each morning, I will be at the Detective Society booth, where I will be from 2 to 3 o'clock each day because I'm helping cover shifts. The person I'm travelling with, Dan, if he's still in the chat, I don't know if he is, he helps run the Detective Society. They have a booth at Essen, which is the escape room style, puzzle style games that you buy. They get sent to your home and you solve puzzles and you do that sort of thing. They are going to have a booth at Essen. That's where I'm going to be between 2 and 3, and they're running demos all weekend. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, definitely check out Detective Society. Mike, you're not going to be working at all at the event. So
it's all relative.
You're not going to be at a fixed booth at a fixed time.
No, I'm going to be running around doing Ready Steady Play stuff the whole time. So if you see us anywhere, stop by and say hi. If you recognize us with our masks on. And I will be at the Gaming Rules meetup on Thursday.
You'll be at the meetup on Thursday. You'll be in a corner with Philip talking about mandala stones.
No, I will be avoiding him at all costs. No, right. I love Philip, and he's great. But,
he's great. Yeah. Right. So, thank you very much again to you two. Thank you very much to everybody for joining. We will say goodbye, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
See you later.
Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.